In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Looking to buy or sell a home? Look no further than Alaska's #1 real estate team at alaskashometeam.com. Decades of local experience, knowledge, and expertise in the competitive real estate market. Alaska's Home Team makes buying or selling your home a breeze. Give them a call today at 907-277-3777.
Lady with the Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings, retreats, birthdays, bridal, and baby showers. Find Lady with the Plan on Instagram.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska. Built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation. Find their products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more at the Treehouse AK and other dispensaries around the state. Ask your local bud tender about AKO.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com. So, Ron, I wanted to ask you, how old is that wild man's hat?
I think about 5 years old.
5 years?
When I seen the color, I had to have it.
Oh, okay. Just rolling through there one time?
Yeah, I used to go there quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
Homer was my second house.
Gotcha. A cup of coffee, a corn dog, wild man hat, hit the road?
No, you don't even know. It's 4.1 quarter hour, and I don't put my foot off that gas until I see Homer.
Okay.
No stopping,
just
nowhere.
Go. Just go.
This
okay.
just happened to me morning times. I had to go real bad.
Okay.
And I had to have a hat.
Well, Wildman's one of our favorite places in all of the world, given that we're all Russian River, Kenai River fishermen, and that's just the last stop before you hit the road. Grab some ice and.
Yeah, I got a funny story about
Wildman.
Man, yeah, I don't know if I should actually say it though. I feel bad. Okay, I already started.
Let it rip, man.
So there's that coffee shop that's right in the front right there.
Yeah.
And before Wildman's was really big, there was I think it was the owner of the coffee shop lady that used to run it, and she was kind of hippie-ish, and she had long dark hair.
He threw her daughter in there.
Okay.
She was dragging the crowd. Go ahead.
Okay, well she was a very, very nice lady, and I even started the punch card, and me and my buddy Kendo, who owned the food Thai food truck down by Ship Creek, and we would go all the time, and this lady at some point she lost one of her front teeth, but she still had the root exposed. And I know, but so we would go all the time, and she
all
was
distracted.
She was like in love with kendo, man. She would just like hook him up and all that stuff, and I started calling the lady Rutabaga, and and she would just hook him up, and I was trying to connect them all and all that stuff, and I would just be like, Kendo, just get in there, just give it a little. You know what I'm saying? And old Rutabaga, and he just was like, would never take the bait, and she was always just like, I don't know if she was married or not, but it just seemed like she had some real extra customer service whenever Kendo came by in his truck and his rafts and ordering his coffee with 18 sugars.
Kendo like, on the Mendo.
Yeah, just come get some sweet noodles.
Well, welcome to Alaska Wild Project episode 41. We are here today with Ron Paye. Thank you, Ron, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Ron is one of the originators, founders of the Wet Dog Race.
And the Jet Ski Club.
And the Jet Ski Club. Is the Jet Ski Club Alaska Jet Ski Club, or is it Anchorage?
Yep, got a polar bear on it. Alaska Jet Ski Club.
Okay, so that's encompassing everyone.
Yep.
Does there try to be like Anchorage or Big Lake or any of that, or it's all in one?
Well, to be funny, I don't think anybody else has enough group to really want to do it, and most people don't even want to go out into the unchartable waters out on Turnagain.
Yeah.
So just pretty much myself and a few others ever want to go out there and ride it. It's if you don't know your tides, you don't know the glaciers and the silt and the runoff and the sandbars, you can get yourself hung up, which I've learned the hard way.
Yeah. Well, anytime someone thinks of jet skiing, I mean, in Alaska, the first thing I think of is like Big Lake, you know, or any of the little lakes that you can go.
Yeah.
And no one know of is like jet skied in the ocean, unless you go to, you know, maybe Mexico or
there's that whole group like that of surfers that I'm familiar with that would, you know, go out to Bear Glacier for a long time, but that's not a long ride. And I think there's a few people bold enough to go to Montague.
I've supported the people that wanted to ride the wave, and I picked one of the larger waves and supported that quite a few years in a row. But
which wave?
The tsunami that comes in, or not the tsunami, but the tidal
the
board tide that comes in. Yeah. Then some of the larger ones that I was a part of was about 2.5 feet. Yeah, which is pretty tall. Yeah, and anyhow. Back in the day.
That's cool.
Yeah, had to do something.
Well, let's back it up to your kind of your roots, your beginning of jet ski love of the sport. And let's start there. What did you start like everyone else around here at Big Lake, or
no? I was born in Germany.
Okay.
And my dad was a military man, and after being born in Germany and raised for the bounce back period, and I won't stretch this out too long because it'll get pretty long winded, but 2.5 to 3.5 years is a cycle. So as I turn 3, I'm back to the States. As I turn 6, I'm already back to Europe again. So back to school, back to the States, back to Europe, back again, back to the U.S., and everywhere from Pennsylvania to Alaska to Alabama, Georgia, Minnesota, Oregon, all these different odd states. As I was a youngster, just turning my 6th birthday, I'm on my dad's shoulders as he's water skiing. No life jacket. Mom screaming at a fit, okay? And I'm like got the biggest permagrin on my face. Ever since that moment, the water wings have spread. So I wasn't even 7, and I got my own canoe, okay? And it moved on from there. So the water thing has really been a big thing with me. I was on the swim team. I got trophies out the wazoo, both in Europe and in the U.S. for long-distance swimming, underwater swimming, being able the longest to hold your breath. There's a lot there, so I'll just kind of get off all that and move on. But during graduation, I've already signed myself up to go into the military, and I was already graduated technically in my sophomore year because I started school and was ahead of the curve and did the challenging back when it was allowed. So I've already signed my paperwork at 17. Let me back up. I'm driving a moped at 12, buying parts for my Chevelle at 14, driving the Chevelle and wrecking it at 15, and repairing it before even my 16th birthday. So ahead of the curve is kind of what I'm trying to give you the background is kind of where I've been. So another synopsis on that is I'm fishing with my dad, water fanatic. If we ever got a hook hung on something, in the water I went, got the hook undone, back in the boat I went, and Dad's having a fit. Okay, stay in a boat. Don't keep jumping out.
Yeah.
I know you can swim, but you don't need to show me. So here it is, always going out fishing, and there's a
lures aren't cheap, you know.
Exactly, and you know, being a kid with no money, it's like we ain't losing no $6 lure and bobbin and hook, and the freaking worm costs more than everything else. I'm getting it back.
That's right.
So anyhow, caught turtles and gator and all kinds of stuff. I'll get off all that. But anyhow, so here we are fishing. I'm 7, and my dad had a cooler. And back in the day, you put ice in with your minnows, and then you put your worms in kind of like a little container, and you kept them warm. In my head at that time, I'm thinking, you got a trolling motor. Why can't we have something electric that takes care of that cooler instead of all that freaking ice we got to pack? I had to pack to the boat.
Yeah.
We'll get off that wagon. But anyhow, so here it is. Years later, I catch on. You know what? I should have thought of that too. They have an electric cooler heater now. You plug in your cigarette lighter. One way it cools, one way it heats. At the time, I thought, I missed my freaking calling. So anyway, I just want to get off that bandwagon, but fishing.
Do they have the solar cooler yet?
I don't know. That's
Me
a
and
good
my brother
question.
were talking about the Soul Cool.
I know what you can do,
So
though,
cool.
is if you get the 12-volt cooler I'm talking about that does exist, then you put your solar panel on it. It's already doing 12 volts. Done and done, if they don't make it.
Yeah, look. Actually, I've never seen. Oh, there you go. The Go Sun. Man, there goes the idea already. It's already out.
Yep.
They're $1,000. Yep.
Yep, that's it. And yeah, they're pricey, but think about that. You never have to buy ice again. Period.
Yeah. Period.
I wonder if that would really work up here. Well, in the summer, I guess you get a lot of
I
sunshine.
wonder about the technology of that, because whenever we go out on these hunts and all that stuff, or fishing, and you bring the rechargeable one for your phone, like
Yeah.
it could barely even charge that.
Yeah, it takes all
You know?
day to charge a phone.
Yeah, but it's getting better. I'm
It is
assuming
getting better.
all that
It's
stuff's
like-
getting real better.
That's why you got to
How
get the
many
kind that's
amps?
waterproof and it takes a little bit of durability, and it's a multi-facet where it accepts the sun. Some of them are like a direct on. They got now where they're reflective and it catches. It can be horizon and sunset, and it'll still pick it up. They're getting better.
Looks pretty fancy.
It does look pretty. I bet it's heavy.
I wonder how many amps it needs to operate.
We're looking at the bougie RV. There you go. Oh yeah, that looks bougie for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think
when did you first get on a jet ski?
I was in the military, and that's what I was alluding to. Is,
Okay.
Graduated high school, went to the military. 17th birthday is in basic training. 18th birthday is I'm just getting into jump school and getting into the 82nd Airborne. And I was initiated by a bunch of cool fellows and friends that just all of a sudden bonded with me because I was the youngest that has ever stepped foot in the 82nd because of my early entry program. I had the scholastics and grades and
They
blah, blah,
embraced
blah.
it.
Yeah. So,
But you had to show up too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
right.
like,
you had to
gain the
be
respect of
enough
those
to get there.
guys,
Yeah. And so back in the day, this is big when the Falkland Islands was the hottest subject. The Grenada, a lot of that was going on. So,
Okay.
So anyhow, on my off time, I owned a Honda Hurricane motorcycle, and I would cut my drive from North Carolina to Florida down to about 6-ish hours, which is normally a 9-hour run. Okay. So we'll just get off that, but I'll move on. So of all that, there were races that were going on in Florida. So on my weekends, I'd already got a jet ski at the age
Jet
of
ski races.
20. Yep.
Okay.
And they were just local. They weren't nothing big. Before Riva was a big thing, which now is one of the biggest jet ski producers and backers in the world. Riva is in Florida.
REVA.
Yep, they do high-end jet skis. They build up the motors. They do hull mods. They do intake mods. They do so much crazy stuff. You could spend $30K on a jet ski, and you're just barely making it a race bike.
Yeah.
So at the time, there's little lakes, there's little races. Stand-up was big at the time, okay? Not the sit-downs.
Yes.
We're talking stand-up,
Okay,
the originals,
okay, yeah.
okay? Where you had to have balance, agility, and jumping it out of the water wasn't the thought. It was keeping it stuck to the water so you could haul butt, okay? In a corner, you're dragging one leg to keep the machine and you connected to the water as you're banking it around the buoy that you're kicking with your knee.
Got it.
Okay, that's the kind of jet skiing I started out in.
Was it on a lake or in the ocean?
Lake, all lake.
Okay.
The ocean stuff didn't come till later. We'll get to
Okay.
that. It's all lake.
Ron, what
Okay.
year was this?
80. I was in the 82nd in 82. Graduated in 81. So 84 mark, 85-ish, somewhere in that category.
The colors were probably really nice.
I'm antique, so sorry to bring up the old age thing, but yeah, I was born in the fine year of antique-ish year.
What CC motors were they running?
When they started out, they were kind of small. I think we're barely into 300 to 400 cc'ers. They were really small.
Okay.
And carbureted. You didn't know about rolling it the right direction. The exhausts weren't really tweaked yet. A whole lot of problems. You slowed down too quick, you could drown it. You went down too quick and tried to pop back up. You'd put water in the intake and it wouldn't filter it properly. There's all these problems.
Jet pump linkage was all.
But to be that person that you could practically be running on water, I was all about it.
You loved it.
I didn't care.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Seems like in the mid 80s, that was a pretty hot new thing when you're talking like skiing to snowboard. Well, snowboarding wasn't until 90s, I don't think, but just that transition of like boat, water skiing. Right. Now you kind of.
And I've already been on skis. I know I jumped over all that, but my dad's already put me on a set of water skis, and I've already been able to ski, and then I've got to do a little bit of skateboarding and kind of played around with that as a youngster. So. And
was that kind of like the original generation of like stand-ups? Did it start in like the late 70s? Do you know?
I don't know the oldest. I honestly don't know. I just know when I seen it, it caught my eye.
And there was organized races and
motorized motorcycle on water. Oh, I just had to have one.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
So did you win any of the races?
No, but I tried my darndest. Okay, and then I was the weekend warrior, so I didn't get to constantly be at it.
Yeah.
So then I housed it with my folks and back in the military, and 13 years of camping and jumping and zipping down on the weekends that I could do it.
Yeah.
And what was that first model that you had?
I can't remember. I'd have to look at pictures and pick it over. Dust on that memory cell. Sorry. The older you get, the more you'll realize that's the truth.
Oh, here's some pretty ones.
Oh, there we go. There's some old
Kawasaki. I just Googled some
Kawasaki's.
up. I was just trying to find like.
As a matter of fact, I know a partner that's in Big Lake, and he is a Kawasaki fanatic, and he has a couple of antiques in his trailer.
Yeah, I'm thinking you were kind of running something like this.
Yep, exactly. Yep. That's them.
Chickens,
now the tiger shark, I think there's a tiger shark that looks a lot like the sit-ons, and those were some of the earlier ones that we moved on to, and then that was something that I got into, and then now that double-seater was too gay. I didn't like all that. And then that's an 04. That's way too new.
I've never seen the two-seater.
But there you go. That is where they were transitioning. That's the transition craft.
It's like old like.
Were you kind of almost like kneeling?
They made
kneeling.
exactly, and then you could actually stand on the seat, but the handlebar did not come up. They did not have a telescoping handle, so you're stuck with that level, and that's what was really a pain. But what you could do,
you wanted it taller, right?
Is do what I call buoy. Just sit there and do like that, up and down in the water. Just keep doing it because it would handle it. Because the back end was a lot longer than the stand-ups originals, and they improved the exhaust. They had it where the water wouldn't pushed back into the exhaust.
So was the Kawasaki kind of like the lead dog in terms of a good manufactured race?
That's a good question.
Jet ski back then?
I won't lie to you. I wasn't into too much of the what was happening. What is? I just kind of had
It seems like they were.
I was like that kid with the candy. Yeah. That candy caught my eye, and I was just all over it. So yeah.
I mean, they've come a long way.
Oh hell yeah, they have.
Have you tried to ride one of those stand-up ones?
Oh yeah, dude. It
hard,
always
man.
it runs away from me.
Yeah, those things are really hard to ride.
We nickname those water arm rippers. So what happens is it's got enough oomph to where your arms will leave with the machine, and there you are going, well, I lost my arms.
That's right.
And I mean, they just turned to butter. I mean, I know I'm being funny about losing your arms, but just working those arms so much, just like when I ride my sit-downs, I like a motocross. The legs, the thighs, the buttocks, the glutes, the back, the arms, the upper pecs, all of it says, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
2 days of rest. I'm just kidding. You're just whipped. You get out there, you're just thumped. I mean, we get out there for the first time. We haven't ridden in a while. We just start riding. It's like, we come back, I need a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're just ripping it. I mean, we don't ride, sit down and go across a lake. No, it's waves, copping some air. That's what we're up to now. But back in the day, it was just mainly get on it and haul butt. There wasn't no real jumping. Little jumps, but no real jumps. And as you get into it, you start to get into the jumps. You start getting into what's called torpedoing. You want to submarine that bad boy and pop back out of the water. Just like Waterworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, Waterworld's a bunch of crap. It's all fake. But anyhow, so that was something I started to do with the stand-up was cup that back end, pull the handle back, dive, punk, pow. pow, come right out. And that was like, oh, now everybody's like, oh, I got their attention now. So I've done that with a sit down, just so you know. We'll get to that.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
So in those races, was it just like you're going around a few buoys for, a few laps around the lake?
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's about 15 to 20 laps, and it's usually, I think the course usually stretches out quarter miles, I think is what they were. Some of them were half miles. Some of I believe Havasu's races were, I want to say they were 5-mile races, if I remember right. They weren't short. They're lengthy. Yeah. They're like 15 laps, and I think they're quarter or half mile loops. And they're chicanes, zigzags. It ain't just another left turn. Yeah. You got all around the buoys, and you've got wake to battle. You've got someone else's splash to deal with. You've got if someone cuts close to you or near you, you're not supposed to touch. It's all the same racing aspects where you got to have that dialed in. You can't just be rude and bang and bump and go. You kind of have to be that. There's a water respect with it.
There's ethics, kind of a hidden code.
You can spray him in the face. That's legal.
Well, yeah.
And not really try.
That's like eating dust, yeah.
But you go giving a serious bump to his machine, and he's on the other side of that buoy, then that could be a little foul.
That's a problem.
Yeah, yep. So.
What were the speeds then?
Oh, I don't even know. They weren't even speedometers weren't even on these machines until, I think, not even 10 years ago. They didn't even have speedos. You just went. The gas gauge was it. I'm serious. That's all they had. And now I'm talking about before then, no gas gauge. You had to guess. Like an 07 Harley, no gas gauge. You got to calculate your mileage. And that's wrong. I'll get off that.
Well, it's like the old, our old 4-wheeler when we were little, the Suzuki, like the King Quad with the blue. You just have to pull out the thing and look at the strip in there. They had like the low, the medium. Yeah. To stip it.
Good thing those things just sipped fuel, because you could ride that thing for like 2 weekends in a row and never run out of fuel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Were there any of those races? Actually, now that I think about it, I never seen any sort of televised jet ski race.
ESPN de Ocho doesn't even have it.
You can look up Lake Havasu right now, and every year there's a big race. It's called the World Jet Ski Finals.
Okay, but
every year.
Do they air it somewhere other than YouTube, maybe?
I believe it's on ESPN.
Somewhere on ESPN?
It's aired on ESPN, yep. Every year. And I haven't gone the past 2 years. Every year prior to that, it was every other year I would go. Oh, yeah, and one of the guys I'm talking to that has a stand-up, he's won races down in Havasu.
Oh, there it is right there, World Finals.
Yep, there you go. That's the starting line. This is where everybody's held. So what they do is you see the guys in the water, they're holding the jet ski up just a little bit so the guys are thumping the throttle so they don't suck up silt or beach sand. Oh. And they're holding it up so they've already got full throttle. Then when they give you the green, they drop it for you, and that's full throttle already going.
This full spray.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why you see the guys in the water. That's why you see the guys in the water. And the bleachers are right behind it. And so right after they take off, the bleachers, bottom end of the bleachers usually gets a good spray.
Those are all real big guys.
The ones holding the jet skis.
On that note, notice the jet skiers. They're all lightweight guys around the 150 mark and small framed because the lighter the dude, the faster the machine, because they all have to be at the same CC level.
Right.
On the engines.
So that's a stand-up race?
No, those are sit-downs.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, there's sit-downs, there's stand-up, there's freestyle. There's different CCs on your sit-downs. There's different CCs
What's
on
a
your
freestyle?
Freestyle means you get to get out and do tricks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You do. That one dude does a submarine, does the torpedo, does a backflip, does a front flip.
Is there jumps like a wave?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They got these there's like tires that are in the water that float. I don't know what's underneath them, a log or foam or something. All these tires float, and they hit the tire log and then do their tricks. Oh, and then they have some that have a ramp where they'll go up the ramp and do a trick. And there's foam ramps. I think they got.
Right there.
They modify.
This one has like an obstacle course.
There you go. Yep.
Oh wow.
It's like the connection between the computer and the TV's got a little chop to it there.
So put a little plug in. I'll say Ralph Perez's name. He is a racer in California. He's an offshore racer, and he was a part of our wet dog deal. And I'm pretty sure he would mind me throwing his name out there.
Ron, what's his name?
Ralph Perez.
Ralph Perez.
Yep, and he races in California, and he came up and joined us. And I learned a lot from him as we talked about a lot of different stuff, because shore racing is where he deals with all what we dealt with. The waves, the turbulence, the leftover wake from everybody racing in front of you. If there was wind the day of the race, he's dealing with it. So when he went to Havasu, the reason certain ones from Alaska did well in Havasu was because we race and ride in most weather. We don't care what day it is. If we got bad weather, we're doing it because we only got weekend to do it, or whatever time we allotted. Yeah. You go down the race, everybody's used to flat, calm water with no waves, no wake. So when you get to race day, it's a whole different animal, because they got to get used to the rough water, the wake, the residue, all that.
That's offshore racing we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ralph Perez,
he should be there.
So where did the idea of organized offshore jet ski racing start?
Good question. Can't answer that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about what got you into it. What started in the offshore side? Just a new
I kind of got tired of
challenge.
Lakes. Okay, I got tired of lakes.
I feel like jet skiing gets boring. Let me just throw that out there.
Yeah.
I am an Alaskan toy freak. Boats, jet skis, snow machines. I do love jet skis. I love all toys. But the jet ski is kind of like the last one on my list. No offense.
I got you.
First off, there's only so much time in the day, in the summer, and everything to even do all of it. But the jet ski is just hard because it takes forever for the lakes to go out. They freeze up. It gets cold. It's kind of hard to do it when it's cold because you got to wear like a dry suit a lot. But the whole lake thing is like, oh man, this is awesome for the weekend. What else do you do? I'm thinking like a snow machine. If you just ride around a lake all weekend, it gets boring.
Yeah.
If you hit a trail, you do an expedition, you do a ride, you find some mountains, do a 200-mile round trip or something. It's got some more adventure to it. So that's where jet skiing to me is always kind of like, it's fun, hot, sunny day, but I'm like, once or twice a year and I'm good. I don't really actually need to own one. I'll just rent one once in a while. Or
that exact thought is why Ocean is involved, and then it's a group, not doing it by yourself.
Right.
The other side of this is that I'm a toy freak myself. We'll go over that in a minute, but I want you to look up an AR230 Yamaha. Right, it is twin jet ski engines that's in a vessel that can carry 13 people.
Is it AR2? What was that again?
AR230 Yamaha. It's got twin 1800 jet ski engines in it.
Sure.
And that's what I've just taken from Lake Louise and went all the way up into the river doing a moose hunt. Caribou hunt.
Oh, the tie on back in there?
And I got pictures where I got up so low that my intake grate, I had to use a fillet knife to cut out all the weeds I sucked up.
It's really low once you get back in that tie on back there.
I was in about 6 inches of water and had to find me a 1.5 foot pooled area to get back up on step.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
did you make it all the way through the Tyone?
I turned around at Tyone.
Okay.
I didn't go any farther than that village that's right there on the right.
Okay.
That too, and I was worrying about shallowing because it was June, I think, is when the permit was open, and I had 3 people on board that all had permits.
Okay.
So we got one and had to split up 3 ways. I didn't get much, but still a good turn.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyhow, of that boat, it has a nice open bow in the front, a little compartment to slide into where if you have to have a little bathroom, and it's got a nice big opening engine area where you can get to everything. It's just 2 jet ski engines that the only bad drawback to it in my thinking is that it's not antifreezed. It's not a dry closed loop. It's insulated. That's the one thing I don't like about it is that's strictly what the fresh water is drawn in.
Right.
But it's stainless prop, stainless exhaust. It's been good for me. It's easy to take care of. You flush it, rinse it, tip the nose up, make sure it's drained to keep all your water out of it and covered up. It's been one of the best boats I've ever had. And did have a shrimp pot puller on it.
Nice.
Used to make a run from Whittier to Cochrane Bay, pull the pots, be back, and make the 10 o'clock tunnel.
Yeah.
Get off at 4:30. I'm in the water at 5:30, at Cochrane Bay at 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah.
Dropping the line, doing a little fishing for about an hour and a half, back and catching the 10 o'clock tunnel at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, nice.
100-mile range on the tank. I just can't talk good about that because I know when he's mentioned toys, touch a whole new subject.
Oh, man.
How's it
So
do with big water?
Yeah.
Oh, great. as long as the people can shut up and stop whining long enough, I can get through all kinds of good water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stop the whining. If you're getting on a boat, stop the whining. The boats are bouncy and poundy. Okay, well, you got a fiberglass shell that's V'd in the front. It's going to cut the bow, and yes, waves are going to come over the front. We're not playing if it ain't doing it that way.
Right.
So that's why I hate the whining.
Nice.
I have a pilot buddy of mine. He came on board. He did nothing but whine. I said, "You're not getting back on the boat ever again."
So you're wearing wetsuits?
Not on the boat. On the jet skis, dry suits actually is a better way to go.
Okay.
I have worn wetsuits knowing I got to deal with climbing underneath, cutting out weeds. When I've had my boats in the past, I've always brought a wetsuit with me, knowing I got to get underneath maybe to do something to the prop or, go get something unhung or something like that. But I don't always wear it when I'm on the boat. Kind of got spoiled. But on the jet ski, I've worn actually my wetsuit under my dry suit. And a lot of people say that's bad, but what I liked about it is that when I take my dry suit off, I got my wetsuit still to do things, and I'm still got something on instead of fleece or polymer or something else. So I like wearing the dry suit with a little layer over that, and then wetsuit, the polymer and papaline over that, then the dry suit on the outside, so it wicks it all away.
Yeah.
So when you take it off, you see the whole inside of your wetsuit is drenched, but I'm warm, and you're active. Now it's a sit still scenario, don't work.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Yeah, makes sense.
Do they? What's your thoughts on the alumiski?
I like the alumiski. I feel as if it's a good idea. They haven't got it right yet, in my opinion. I like if we're going to do that, we're going to step up the boat, get a little bit wider, go a little bit longer, give you compartments. Why make it so freaking tight where there ain't room for a whole lot of nada?
Yeah.
You got to pack extra gear. You got to pack a come along. You got to pack, shovel. You got to pack some anchor points. You beach a machine, you got to either El Manuel it, and it takes 4 guys to pick up a jet ski. How many guys would take to pick up an aluminum weld boat, a little aluminum weld skis? I'll bet at least 4.
Yeah.
Because of the weight of the engine, the weight of the aluminum, the bottom's got to be skinned. If they've got a windshield, whatever else they got on board, the seats and everything else, they're going to be, if not heavier than a jet ski.
Yeah.
Our jet skis usually range from 900 to 1,300 pounds, depending on the bigger machines, on the sit-downs. So 3 guys are really hoofing to move those.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on the alumiski. I like them. Partner of mine's got one, and we're getting ready to kind of play with it a little bit. But like his attitude towards the toy thing, I won't invest that kind of money.
Yeah.
I'd
did
rather
he build it or did he buy it?
No, bought it built,
Yeah.
but somebody else built it. That's the only way to have those right now is to have that, or either the alumiski company charge you $30K and you can
Is
have
that
one yourself.
what they're
Roughly.
$30K?
Roughly 25 to 30 something, depending on what motor, what arrangement, what tank, what seats,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah, and how much skinning on the bottom, not just the aluminum.
Yeah.
Because they got to put a layer of either Hyfax or some sort of something, because as you go skidding across either sandbar or rock or something, if it don't have that, aluminum grabs when it starts to dig into things.
Yeah, sure.
You're talking about how you want to go on the lake.
Real quick,
it,
Ron,
right there.
you went caribou
That's
hunting
it.
with that thing.
Yes.
I'll be damned.
Yes. Lake Louise, all the way up to the edge where the water got way
Did
too
you-
shallow for my nervousness.
This TV's killing me. So you didn't bump nothing? You didn't?
No, but I was reading the water really well, and I also
Okay.
have a forward depth finder, not just the one in the back.
Oh, okay.
And I've learned that with my skiing arrangements. I'd like to afford a forward Doppler, but
How
you
much
know,
time do you got when you're running on, step? Like
the
what?
boat will react very fast. I can
Oh,
throw
okay.
everybody from the boat if I turn sharp enough and they're not holding on.
Yeah.
There's a handle by every seat, and it's for a reason. It should have seat belts.
I love watching those videos.
But you crank at 50 and watch some heads and bodies
Yeah, everybody
flop.
better hold on, huh?
So, yeah, I even told them, don't piss me off because I'll just throw you off. And they're like, yeah, right. Yeah, talk your spank. Sit in the back. Yeah, have a beer.
do they do? Let me go back to my question, because we were talking about how you're just running on the lake and that might get a little bit boring, and then you move to the off the coast stuff. Do they do any big river races or big river rides? Like people are going up the Yukon or
Not with jet skis.
why not?
I would assume it's because of the interest and the price. Like the guys that are doing those Yukon special designs, super long. They're in very shallow water. That's the right equipment to have. 2 guys helping you give balance to the boat. You're in a jet ski. You're going to probably sandbar it. You're by yourself. They can't put 2 people on. Ski's not long enough for that little arrangement. Okay. I think that's why our rivers aren't done. There are races in other places.
On rivers.
Yeah. They're just all around the world, jet skis are really taking off.
Yeah.
So there is. It's just, I haven't looked globally because, the wallet isn't so big. But
what are some of the other real popular countries? Do you know?
I've looked a little bit, but I can't quote them. I'd have to, look them up. But they're there. And that's where I like when we were getting this off the ground, there was already global interest in jet skiing where there's people that can come from around the world.
Right.
But the purse was too big and the entry money was too big, I think, to try and grab a really good interest. Okay. I think that's where our biggest problem was.
Yeah.
Out of Anchorage, down to Kenai, down to Homer, down to Kodiak, circumference in Kodiak and back, I thought was enough. But to get all the way over to Lake Iliamna, then be trailered back, I thought was a bit too much. And just logistics-wise, it's just, not only getting the interest, but the purse. Okay, so if the purse is $1 million, it shouldn't cost the teams $25K each, plus their equipment. And so is there boat support? Is there fuel support? Is there first aid medical support? And so when it gets to be too spread, I think that's the biggest complication to the logistics side of everything. Yeah. And that was kind of where the really holding point is trying to get all involved and to give it where there was support, where money wasn't given up front. And we had problems with villages carry a lot of diesel.
Oh, right.
Don't carry a lot of gas.
Oh, okay.
There's another big problem.
Yeah.
And you got to orchestrate it, but, when we had our support boat, that's one thing we packed was the extra gas.
Right.
Because once we got going, we were able to shed our cans and put them on the support boat and not do it like we had originally looked at because it was a bit too much, especially when we had the support boat. It's like, well, we got to beat ourselves up. Let's just pile our stuff on there, and we're still about the endurance, about making it. So
yeah,
I want to say, has jet skis gone as far in what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, there's been so much in like ATVs and things like that. There's
a long ways to go.
Technology, progression.
Here's an idea for you, and again, I'm always ahead of the curve, but I ain't got the fundage for it. But let's take and put a carbon fiber hull together.
Oh yeah.
Let's tweak a little weight, throw the foam and the mat and the seating arrangement. Let's cut down on that. Let's cut down on the handlebars. Let's cut down on everything and shave like the AlumiWeld is doing. Right? The Aluma boat.
Mm-hmm.
Do the same thing, only go carbon fiber, composite, throw everything at it that you can. Kind of like that little, what's that one boat called that Polaris puts out? It's the Sea-Doo. It's a lightweight one. They say you can't flip. It has holes in the front. It kind of had the right idea, but they did it wrong. Water coming through to your feet, worst idea ever, because it knocks your feet off at a certain speed. So of that, to me, I look at that and it was an okay idea, but you need to be protected. And then that's my opinion. Once you torpedo them and take it underwater,
it was there.
You'll know.
Oh, which one is it? This one here?
It's that one down to the right. It might be the same as that one up there.
You're talking about my boat? Or
the Sea-Doo boat you were talking about.
No. It's Spark. It's the Spark.
That's the jet ski.
That's a sit-down jet ski. Right. That's the one I'm talking about. It's a composite hull. It's not carbon fiber. It's a composite hull.
Kind of reminds me of like a dirt bike style jet ski, like a race jet ski.
Where holes are in the front and the water goes through the front.
Okay.
And it knocks your feet. So, yeah.
So they say that these can't flip over?
That's BS. They say that for a sales pitch. And the reason they say that is because that's the number one fear, is that they roll over. But you look on the back of it, guess what it has? The proper way to roll it back over. So you don't put water in your intake. If you do it the wrong way,
the directions on how
you automatically scoop the water up into the intake. Then you can't fire it. That's why it says rotate it a certain way. Yeah. All of them have it on the back.
It looks a lot like the new snow machines.
Yep,
it does.
Yeah, these are nasty. They're real popular. I've seen them.
Yep, they're cheap. That's why they're popular. They're cheap.
Yeah,
and they're small motored. They can only do. I think they can only do 30 something on the water. They're not that fast.
Oh, okay.
So cheap and perfect for the kids.
Nimble for ripping around. It feels like if
perfect
you were
for beaching, all that.
Yeah. If you were like a big stand-up guy, this is something that you could
or
sit
something
down
you
and
want to
play
let
and
the
throw
kids
around.
to throw on and not rip up your nice machine.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
What's the picture
The
of
learning
that
jet
girl
ski.
like holding it up? What's going on there?
She's doing a stand up in the water.
Oh,
That's bouncing it up and down. That's called
Nice.
torpedoing, or I'm
making
sorry,
it look easy.
We call it buoying.
Buoying,
Doing. That's what I was talking about
Okay.
earlier when I was doing the jet ski.
Okay.
Oh, buoying.
what
you
a
know, like a
badass.
buoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What's a porpoising then?
porpoising going?
Porpoising is when your vessel is doing this. That's porpoising. Where your front end is bouncing and your back end, and you either got weight distribution problems or your tabs
it's
are
just
wrong.
like porpoising,
Right.
like
Yeah.
a boat, not like a trick.
Drive is wrong. Yeah, and you're
Okay.
kind of like doing that
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of being smooth.
Yeah,
that's porpoising.
I thought there was like a trick.
Well, what do you call it when you go under the water and back out? What would
Torpedo?
Torpedoing
torpedoing.
or submerging, submarining.
Submarining.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's what they do in the freestyles.
Yeah. Okay.
They take them underwater,
and I'm
pop
sure,
under and pop back out.
I'm sure those tricks. I mean, maybe we could pull one of those up, Brandon, on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
freestyle.
It's at the Havasu deal, freestyle.
Freestyle Havasu trickeries.
Yep,
And I'm
put
sure
on
they
there-
do it by points.
Put submarining, and it'll bring them up. There's another guy that'll sit there and he'll do what they call rotational flips. So he'll hit it, keep going, hit it, keep going, hit it, keep going, hit
A
it,
full
keep going.
backflip?
Forward flip, I think, is what they're doing. I don't remember
Wow.
if it's a back, but they just keep doing it, keeping the momentum up, and they get big points because
there
they'll do
you
I don't
go.
know 6 or 8 or whatever of them.
Oh,
Yeah, and then that's the grab. That's
The
what the foot
runner
grab at the
grab?
same time.
Oh, so they
That's
almost
pretty sick.
integrated some of the snowboard stuff. Where you're
Exactly.
doing the grab and the.
Yep.
Got it. Got it.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
Well,
there's getting ready to do the submarining right there. He's got the nose down. He kicked the
Oh,
back
this
end
guy
up.
here.
He's getting ready to do it.
Just get it.
Yep.
So, Ron, are you like a double backflip guy, or
I have not been able to justify doing that on a stand up or a sit down.
I just had to check. I was
but
like,
I think I'm one of the few that's able to put a sit down through a wave, and I got witnesses.
oh, okay,
And hang on is the trick.
yeah. What's
Because the water blast to the chest
the pressure
is to remember.
Yeah. I
Oh,
bet.
it
What do you
is.
mean by that? Like you're going in through the wave?
Yes.
Okay.
The waves are so sharp that when you come down one wave and you don't do it right at the right angle, you're going
Oh, you're
through that
plowing
wave.
The next one.
Oh, okay.
You're going
Just
through that wave.
pressure. It wants to just rip you right off of it.
Oh yeah, just
Is that happening?
find
on
a
the,
bat. Let me help you.
Does that happen on the saltwater? I mean,
Oh
do you-
yeah.
Oh
so,
shit.
So coming back from Kenai back into Anchorage, the water and the tide and the shallowness that happens, the waves are so tight that if you're not doing a certain angle, you are literally putting the nose of the boat at the bottom of that wave and going through the next wave. And it's knocked John off his machine, as him and I were the only two going from Kenai back to Anchorage. And I zipped over and got him out of the water and back to his machine.
Wow.
As he
gotta be a
watched
little
me,
scary.
he watched me go through the waves.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah, actually-
before we get into the ads and the actual wet dog race. You brought up something the other day, Ron, when I was at the site with you working on the rescue deal that happens out there in Cook Inlet, and how you are involved with people that will walk out there in Cook Inlet. You're at Beluga Point or whatever, and people that don't know will just walk out there into that.
Right.
Into that
mud
silt,
flats.
into those mud flats, and then they get stuck.
Sticky,
And then
icky,
there's so
man.
many stories. Can you walk us kind of through some of the horror stories that you've maybe seen or been a part of, and what it takes to actually now to rescue people, and a little bit of history with that?
One step in the horror department, then we'll back up and be more mellow about it.
Okay.
But the one lady that got pulled apart, it was California. So they tried a new method on them when that happened.
This is like in 88 or something.
93-ish,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
is where
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
at. But
yeah.
anyhow, so the lady was pulled apart because they couldn't release the lower end of her, and they were only getting down to her waistline, and she was already up to her head with tube keeping her aired to try and get her cleared to remove her.
Yeah.
What they've learned and what I'm familiar with and what I've seen is that now they've got where they use water and they'll pressurize and blow around them, and then that releases
Release it.
all the silt enough to where they can pop out.
Right.
They
break the suction, right?
Exactly, and get enough of the body released to where they can get them out. They've got little boards across the silt, do a little where they take an Argo or this lightweight track rig to get out to them, and it's got a hoist on it. Okay. And then it's got a water pump and stored water on board, because once the water comes in, they got water. But before the water comes in, they've got no water. And so to try and do the blasting, they got to have water to start with. Yeah. So the process that I'm familiar with, that I don't know if they're still doing it, is where they would try to get to the person as quick as they could, because they can't do it anymore with a boat of any sort. Now, they have toyed with a hovercraft with certain pumps and gear on board. And I think that's what they have now, is the hovercraft instead of the tracked rig. And the hovercraft gets out to them. Then they got the pump, the water on board, and then I think 3 guys is where they're at. And so they build if you ever seen where they rescue someone from a manhole, it's got a tripod arrangement, and there's a hoist on the top. Yeah. So the tripod arrangement's set up, the silt pads are there, and then there's a hoist deal. So they're wrapping around wherever they can. It's harnessed either their waist or upper shoulders under their armpits, and then they're starting to hoist. Then they're blasting the water at the same time they're hoisting. So they got a good method down now. But back in the day, it's all trial and error and learning. They tried digging them out. That didn't work. They tried everything that works. And so a little backup here. When the water goes out, it goes out in kind of a slow process, and you start to see the beach expose itself, and then you see the sandbars, and then the glacier silt kind of slightly goes from super coagulant to like semi non-coagulant where you can walk on it. Then it turns to where it's almost hard. Well, it's only hard for a certain amount down from the top. It's never hard down below, because the silt and the coagulant and the water is all there 2 foot below. I'm not sure how deep it is. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because when the water comes in, it comes in much faster than it went out. So when they're caught and they're thinking they're okay, but they see the water, by the time they see the water, it's already too late, because it's coming faster than if they're a mile offshore and they can see the water coming. They can't make that mile before they're in the water, is my point. Because it comes in faster than it goes out. Yeah. Once that happens, all that semi-hardened coagulant sand turns to quicksand, and now what you used to walk on, you're down to your knees or your waist or even your freaking upper chest. So that's kind of where people get themselves in trouble, is they get too far out, the water comes in a lot faster than they even realize, and then they're caught. And it's the call, too. So did somebody on the road see it? Did somebody flying by on an airplane see it and call it in? So that's all the other aspect, too, is when they get the notification that there is trouble, that's a critical time frame, because they're either running from Girdwood or they're coming from somewhere in Anchorage.
Is it the fire department?
It's a rescue. There's an actual rescue crew that does those recoveries.
So it's not part of the fire department?
I think it is.
Okay.
But I think they got a specialized crew for the silt recovery.
I remember
not just the fire.
Last summer I saw fire trucks coming from Anchorage and Girdwood, and they had like a jet ski set up.
Yep, and that's on like an inflatable. It's in the middle of a boat kind of deal. Well, that hovercraft is the cat's meow.
Okay.
Depends on the tide.
Yeah.
Again, if the tide's coming in, water's coming in, then the ski's usable to a certain depth. If not, then we got that questionable level where, like I've beached my ski and skidded on my skull. I know that the water is evil. You can't always tell where them little ripples are, and knowing just how shallow you are when the water's going out, because the ripples are created when the water's leaving. So you don't know if it's 2 inches or 6 inches,
right?
Because the ripples look the same,
lapping up. Yeah.
And then there's also the silt has these rolls to it. So then you see these rolls, and you're not sure if it's the silt rolls in the glacier part or if it's your water rolls. And they have a hard time reading the water the same way.
Right.
And they're all dry suited up. They've gone to dry suits, and they've been to dry suits last I've seen.
I wonder how many rescues we do a year out in the mudflats.
That can be Googled.
Yeah.
The internet might know.
So on that note, I won't drop any names, but I got to bring up a little funny here since you tweaked my memory bell here. So we have a friend that's a part of our jet ski club and a part of our wet dog deal, and so she's a 911 operator. So she will receive calls about, we see jet skis out in the inlet, they look like they're stuck. Yeah. She'd call Peter or I and go, are you guys out in the inlet? Yes, we are. Please don't send anybody. We're good. We're stuck. And so we come prepared. We got a little fire. Yeah. A little food, a little nosh, a little take care of business, a little lights to play with, a little laser, a little goof on off while we wait our 8-hour swing. because that's about what it takes.
Yeah.
For the
Gotta
tide.
wait for
Shallow
it.
as much, little as 6, as much as 8, to where you have enough water to float the machine again and then get back going.
Yeah.
So I usually call in sick. Glad you guys like that one.
I'd never seen a
I
jet
like it.
ski out there or anywhere. Where do you launch at?
Anchorage.
Like right out
Just
down
like
at the
Ship
port,
Creek?
Ship Creek.
That's right.
I never ever seen a jet ski out there. Have you guys?
No.
The
There's
only
Little
jet
Sioux.
skis I'm aware of are the people that take them across to go up like Alexander Creek fishing. So like I feel like the people that
That's the
I
big
know
Sioux.
that jet skied either were like these hardcore kind of single. You're getting at like what toys you want. You're like it's like seems to be single people. Like you don't have to haul anyone else with you, or you have one other buddy you convince to get them, and they're either trying to get to trout or some sort of fishing. Or they're trying to surf.
Yep.
So the ones I knew would go up, and I think they would go up Alexander Creek.
That's one on the Big
And
Sioux, all the way up to
go up the
Alexander.
Big Sioux.
Yep.
To those like
And if,
tributaries.
you don't know Big Sioux, the mouth of the Big Sioux is a challenge.
Yeah.
Directly
It opens
west
up,
across
right?
it's
from
like
Fire
which
Lake
one do you take?
is rough, and it changes all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many
that's-
braids.
Yep.
I always kind of wondered. I've thought about doing it, but it's intimidating because I've seen the aerial view, and like, what braid do you pick? Like, how do you even know what is the main
Channel.
You're always
channel
looking for the
of
largest water that's collectively moving in the same direction, is what you do, and you try to follow
and
that.
it's all flat, so
Yep.
it's like you can't
That's right.
really,
It's tough.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I've spent many hours out there beached
really
because I've learned not to play with the outgoing tide.
incoming
So
only.
I play with the incoming tide. That way, if we get
Okay.
beached, you just wait a half an hour and you'll have water again.
Oh,
then go a different
gotcha.
direction.
Okay.
So then once you get up Big Sioux a certain distance, the tide doesn't bother you. You're up in deep enough, then you can roll and the water doesn't get too shallow. It's only the mouth. Well, a little bit past the mouth, a couple miles-ish. After that, it gets to where you ain't got to worry about it.
You can actually start to like decipher the bank and where now the big channel is.
I
And
mean,
all that.
don't get me wrong. There's certain places where you got to turn far left, even though it looks shallow on the left. It's not. It's up against the bank. That's
Yeah.
still going on. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah.
Ain't like you can always cut corners. But when the tide's up and you know you're riding the tide.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that this is a lot of people don't realize is the port. If you don't launch your boat 2.5 hours before high tide, you only have till 2.5 hours after the top of high tide, or you run out
turns
of
and
you run out of launch ability and retrieve ability from the boat launch, because the boat launch ends and silt starts, and you can't get your machine onto the trailer without sinking everything in the silt. And I don't care what big truck you have in town, it ain't coming out of that silt with your skis
Say
on.
that again. You have to what? You have to start.
2.5 hours prior to high tide.
Yep.
Okay.
That way, their tide's up enough to where you can launch, go play. Need to be back before the 2.5 hours off of high tide ends,
Got
because
it.
then you're at the bottom of the boat launch again, where the silt starts. I got photos. Like I said, I didn't bring photos, but you can look up any of the photos for the Anchorage boat launch and look up high and low tide photos,
Yeah.
because it's there.
Yeah.
It's what I first did it when I took my pictures.
Yeah, when we used
So
to
that's
launch and
the
go
move.
across duck hunting, it was very specific like that.
Yep.
And we're getting back to the launch.
Just
was
like if you ever
2
go up
hours
Kachemak
before
and
high
ever
tide.
go duck hunting, you got to be careful. The same thing up in Kachemak, where I'm canoed and hunted and duck hunted and all that. If you're at a certain hour after high tide, there's a cot water that's up there above the bridge. The water kind of stops at a certain level. Below the bridge, it drops more, if you didn't know that. So the Kachemak River, that bridge it goes across,
Yeah.
on the old Glen or new?
both.
Oh,
Old Glen is more predominant. You can see it more. New Glen, you can't tell. You can see it's low on the left, it's low on the right. But you go up where the old bridge is, you can see there's kind of like a trapped water that's up there. It gets only certain low, and then it kind of hangs at a certain low. I think that all kind of is
the water just gathers right
just
there.
blocked. I don't know why, but
Okay, silt holding it or something.
so if you go on that's the south side of the Kachemak Bridge, not the north side. You go down and there's some sloughs that you can go do duck hunting. But certain times that gets really low, and you have to travel a whole lot more, and then you're kind of stuck with your canoe.
Oh,
So that's kind of the same thing. It's just
Gotcha.
not as bad.
Yeah.
so you basically on that tide, you got like 5 hours to mess around.
Yep, that's about tops
Okay.
before and after the high tide.
Yeah, and they're so fast and aggressive too.
That's right, and it depends on that too. Depends on the, like if we have a 32 or 34 foot tide and it goes down to -5 and then it swings back up to a 28, then it drops down to a +10, you got less time.
All right.
That's why I'm bringing
and
it
you
up.
have that
The swing.
it either rages hard or there's like nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it always goes out slow, in fast, no matter what. Always.
Scary fast.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So you don't want to get stuck waist high. In the
Yep.
sand.
Yeah.
No.
You don't want to do that. Let's take a quick break and give a shout out to some of the sponsors here. Serrano's Mexican Grill. Since 2008, Serrano's is Anchorage's own generation of old casina. Their menu showcases the passion and love of their rich heritage and unique family recipes that have been passed down through generations. Serrano's goal is to embrace and display traditional flavors using the best ingredients that are available. They focus on making everything from scratch daily. In-house menu includes handcrafted corn tortillas, Serrano salsa, carne asada marinades, and chorizo. But don't take their word for it. Experience the tradition and sabor for yourself. Locations on Tudor and Northern Lights. Both spots now have a tequila bar, so go ahead and check out either of those. And you can check out their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling, including burst pipes, overflowing toilets, downed trees, fires, pet accidents, and vandalism. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks, and hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
You got through it, Jackie.
Yeah. I used Tailored this week, by the way.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, this is the third time this year that I had a rental with a water leak, and man, it's amazing how fast they get over there.
Oh, they actually came out, inspected, and repaired it?
Oh yeah. Well, they shut down the water, started the restoration. The repair will happen. Got with my insurance company, and they're legit.
Yeah. I mean, they just streamlined it, right?
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it takes off a lot of my stress. Takes away a lot.
Yeah,
of my
with
stress.
all the other crap you got going on, like that's what you need, right? Gotta love it. The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Make sure to check them out at thetreehouseak.com. You must be 21 years of age to enter their store. Ron, you going to leave me solo over here or what?
No. I just
No, I'm giving you, I had to throw it out there because you're the only one in here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really like blown away at how early you got into the jet ski game. I've got a family member from Valdez, right? Port Town, live pretty close to the water.
Okay.
Lots of family, extended family on his side in Cordova. Again, small port town, close to the water. And them boys out there are crazy about their jet skiing. And that's the first time that I've heard of guys taking jet skis in the salt. Again, like I said, my perception of jet skiing was always lake, but these guys, being that Valdez, Cordova, they're fishermen. I mean, they had 2 or 3 stand-ups they had these custom brackets off their sand boats where they actually carried their stand-ups around.
Yep.
And so in their off time, when their fishing would close and they had their fish off to the not the cannery. What's the tender?
Processor.
The tender.
Yeah.
They go off in a bay waiting for the next opener or whatever,
Yep,
and
they
they'd
go
unload
play.
their stand-ups
Yep.
and go rip around. And I'm like,
Yep.
Holy shit, that's a great
I've actually
idea.
seen just what you're describing. I tried to get on terminal, and I had a funny buddy of mine that worked on terminal down in Valdez.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I went down to go visit with him and seen that too, and I was just like all intrigued, and never couldn't go out and talk to him because didn't have a way to do it. But yeah, I've seen that, and I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean those guys would like, oh, we're gonna run to Valdez and back to Cordova in the day, and I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy.
There's a glacier north of Valdez that we went to. And in that glacier, I had my support boat, and at the time, I had a borrowed jet ski from a guy's wife. And in the glacier, you're like a mixed drink. The glacier bubbles and cracks and pops like you're in the drink. I can't make that up. It just bubbles.
While you're sitting there floating around,
pops,
you can just hear it.
Kill the motor, just floating.
Oh.
Ice is melting is what you're listening to.
Yeah. Is this in between Valdez and Whittier then?
No. It's north of Valdez.
Oh, okay.
I want to say Columbia Glacier.
Is it Columbia?
Okay. I'd have to look at a map
closer
again.
to Valdez itself.
Right.
Right.
It was in Valdez. Yeah, that's only a 100-mile run.
They do the tours and stuff in there, I think,
Whittier to
right?
Valdez is only a 100-mile run. We've done it several times.
Oh, is that what it is, 100 miles?
That's it. That's all it is.
Okay.
That's all. Just
Done and
100.
done. Yeah. That's right.
No big deal.
Done.
Well, on a jet ski, that's a long way.
Montague's only 120.
Oh, it is one
Yeah.
way?
From Whittier. Yep. Yep.
Damn, I thought it was
Have
only
you
like
done
80
that
miles.
Montague run?
Yep.
Yeah. What were you doing out there?
Camped on the land. Tried to see if I can find a deer. Yep.
You brought a little sled?
No. Actually, I was able to shove everything in the compartments, and what I do is everything that can take the heat goes in the engine compartments.
Okay.
And I put them in military canisters.
Okay.
So it can
Oh,
take the
great.
heat instead of that, and then bungeeing them up with.
What happens if you got a deer?
It goes in the front. That's why I'm opening up the front nose, just like when I go halibut fishing. Though halibut, you just go ahead and whack the head off, cut the tail off, cut the dorsal fins off, curl them up, drop them in the front compartment.
Oh, really?
You take the boot out. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
You take the what out?
The boot. There's a boot in most of the front of the jet skis.
Oh,
On
okay.
the sit downs, there's a boot.
Okay.
It's like a container that sits in the lip.
Okay.
Okay. When you open the nose, there's this. I call it a boot, but it's kind of like a pocket. So you pull that out, and then you can get to all the lower part down in the hull.
Is that for buoyancy on the front?
No, so you can keep stuff up off the floor, and you got immediate grab things because you can't reach it when you open it up, and you've got your handlebars forcing your gut, and you can't reach all the way down the bottom without scurrying around that handlebar to get all the way down the bottom.
Gotcha. And then as you get around the handlebar, you're getting tippy, right? Like,
No, you just got to have the right balance mentality. Like on a horse. Throw that leg over real quick, and you straddle it backwards. Then you reach down.
there's technique
You don't
to this.
stand on the side and be an idiot.
That's
But
one thing
I'm
I
sorry, but
noticed about. No,
most
I mean,
machines,
most look like
the new-
idiots the
no,
first
I'm
time
sorry.
around.
The
there.
new machines are a lot more buoyant and a lot more
And
designed,
balanced?
where I can stand in the trough on one side and it won't tip. It'll tip a little, okay, but it won't roll over like the Tiger Shark or like some of the older models where they're a little bit skinnier.
Yeah.
They've gotten wider now. We've got sponsons. We got more buoyancy. The foam inboard. The fiberglass has got more buoyancy going on.
So they dummy proofed them a little bit.
The tad.
Okay.
The tad.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like I don't jet ski a lot, but the ones that I have played around on, I guess they're more like race machines, so they're a little bit more like nimble or whatever. But if you fuck around and go one side or the other, the thing just rolls right over on you.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's the race machines are dialed in for curving. Okay. So you're doing the buoy slicing, and you're gonna get into the turns. You're shaving all the weight down. It's your body language, what you're turning on the inside and the outside, just like on a high speed motorcycle that does curves where you're dropping your knee in the water. They do the same thing. They're so hugged onto that seat that they're dropping their whole body one side or the other to make those curves. And if you look at the sponsons, they look like the side of wings that have been added to it, not just this little tiny little sponsons on the factory ones. They drop them down, and they're 6 inches deep, and that's because they're hugging it so tight. That's a wing underwater.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm starting to see where they're playing around with what they call hydrofoiling. And so what they've done instead of hydrofoil is they've just turned it outward. So when you're curving it, it actually is a cupped cut and helps you sharper turn.
Right, right.
Grabs water.
That's
And
some of the newer stuff I'm just looking at, Wanted to go to another Havasu, so yeah.
So what's the biggest halibut you've caught on that thing?
On the jet ski, I think 35er. And then had to cut him down a little bit and shove him in the front. And then when I got the second one, he was like 20. And so cut him a little less, and then third one, fourth one.
Yeah. Any
Perfect size.
What size would you get nervous? With just like
the big
buoyant?
ones, the 50s, because then I got no real room for them. Even if I sit there and slice them all up, I didn't, not ready to. The bad thing about being on your lap and having a fillet knife is that you're going to cut your $1,000 dry suit, okay, or you're going to slice into your leg in your wetsuit, and there you are. So that's
Shark
the biggest fear, because you're by yourself. No, not so much that, just injuring yourself, and here we are, okay?
Yep.
Anchor point, all right? You slice your leg at anchor point where the fish are, that's a bad spot.
Yeah.
Even with the sat phone, because cell phone got chat service, so yeah.
I've never seen a jet ski out there.
An anchor point? Yeah. Never.
Once we leave the water, you can't be seen, just so you know. And it's illegal in Homer, right?
Yes.
That was my next question.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Beat you to it. Good job.
Because I was thinking when we go to the Winter King thing, and there's like the paddleboard division, or not the paddleboard, but the kayak division, and I was wondering why isn't there a jet ski division? Well, you're not allowed to ATV there unless you all go to that other side by Fox.
Haven't you seen the guys pedaling around in those little pedals, the pedal boats?
Yeah, I've seen
that. They got
that.
those pedal boats, and then they got the motorized kayaks, the mokais.
Mokais.
They were out there.
I haven't seen that.
And the jet skis can't do it because you're supposed to be a crew. That's why I thought they've never been out to do it. So I've been on Brown Cow How Now boat, and I've fished there a couple times. And I always get irritated because it's like on the radio, there's all this crap talk. We pulled a big one on. They don't say what boat it is. Then later on, you're like, dang, they got the big one, So then you get back and there's no big one from boat yuck, yuck, yuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole bunch of crap goes on the radio. That's the biggest irritant about that whole deal is there's so much flap on the radio that it's like, there
really is a lot of that, actually.
Yeah, it's too much of it. It's like, how about we fish? When we get back to the dock, then all the real talk happens. Yeah. That radio and that was the biggest annoyance out of all of it. So
there's a lot of that
I stayed on the back deck and said, I don't even want to hear what's going on that radio. Just turn it off for me. I don't even want to hear it. But yeah, I got pictures where I'm blue in the face, blue in the lips, fingers are blue, and I'm holding up my king with the biggest freaking blue grin I ever owned. And so that's why I like going in Winter King fishing. Yeah. But there's been days where it's been so brutally cold. I don't know. I didn't do it this last year, but every year prior to that, I've done it with the girlfriend down in Homer, and it's been great.
Really?
Have you salmon fished with your jet ski? Have
Absolutely.
you trolled and done that whole thing?
Trolling is tough. It's very tough.
That's why I had to ask.
Idle is the best move, but we have to drop either a little chute that's what they call a water anchor, and it slows you down, or you just take a raincoat and tie it in kind of like a little web and drop it over the edge and tie it off.
Because you're idling you're too fast. Your
too
troll
fast.
is too fast.
That's right. Idle's too fast. And
you could drag as a small bucket.
I got you, but bucket takes up space.
Yeah, it does.
So it's got to be something collapsible. And the collapsible bucket don't hang.
No, but a jacket or some sort of material that you could turn into like a parachute type thing.
So I use a mesh like a fish for your shrimp pots. I've used the fish bait, those nylon mesh ones, and then just put something in it like a rainproof jacket, and it acts as a nice
creates drag.
Yeah, and that works the best. And it's light and packable and easy.
Oh, man. Crafty, man. Crafty. You thought about this.
We dip netted in Kenai, by the way.
Oh, really?
On jet skis.
And that was legal, too?
Sure it is. It's a boat, isn't it?
Takes
two of you.
One has like a lot of... actually, I have seen that.
Well, and that
now that you say that, I saw a triple seater out there, and I thought, man, that sucked to fall in.
But it's not. It's okay.
You're used to it.
The ski goes back and picks you up. You ain't got to swim to the boat. The ski will come to you.
Yep.
Watch out
as long as you trust your partner.
And with a dry suit.
No, Kenai in the summer is freaking beautiful.
How many damn fish can you even get on a dip net trip on a jet ski?
Till the cooler's full, then you go back and unload the cooler. And it's a 40-gallon cooler that's right between your legs in the back.
Oh, okay.
So one operates, one's turned around and doing the dip netting backwards. And what helps is the jet. It pulls them up, then the net catches them. Cheating.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. That's the first dip netting from the jet ski. That's extra.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Let's jump into the wet dog race and just a little bit of
dog race. Yeah,
a little bit of maybe knowledge or history here for people that might not know or ever heard of the wet dog race. We just had Mike Morgan and Chris Olds here for the Iron Dog race, and we had these other guys in for the Iditarod race, and this is a race that happens in Alaska on jet skis in the ocean.
It hasn't happened yet. We did what's called paving the way. We proved it can be done.
Okay.
But the race has not got off the ground.
It hasn't. Okay.
No.
Okay. So what we've been seeing, if you could YouTube this and YouTube wet dog race.
Absolutely.
And what it'll show you is you guys maybe practicing these things or
Proved it can be done.
Okay. All right.
And showed that it can be done physically.
Okay. So let's start in the beginning. Let's begin. I see this first video here is from 2010. When was the first time you guys decided, hey, let's go ahead and attempt this? And
that's John Lang right
and
there.
what was the first route?
That was Ralph Perez. There's myself, Peter. There's Gina, and there's his machine overweighted. There's mine. This is the support boat. This was coming back from Wide Bay. There's a couple mixed shots here. This was launching in Anchorage. That looks like Larson Bay. Can't quite tell. There we are. Yep. So that's a quick little synopsis, and that's cuts from a lot of different times.
Quick question. Wet dog race. Where did the name come from? Wet dog. Like Iron Dog. We got that. Like, did that have something to do with that? Or?
The equivalency of what we do in Alaska is why it became the dog.
Okay.
Because we got Iron Dog.
Dog sled racing.
The dogs for the sled dogs. And so dog was key. So wet dog was kind of a grabber as we all brainstormed, okay. I got to give John Lang credit, and I'll throw his name out there, but he's the one that really got a lot of it off the ground, created the trophy, kind of got global interest, tried to work the preempting of kind of getting it off the ground. We, as the rest of the group, were just some jet ski fanatics. We just happened to get kind of drawn into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, once we got to be a little bit psychotic to even do some shit like
Absolutely.
this. Yeah.
If you're not having fun, you're not trying.
No offense, right. Ron.
I got you. It's all good. It's all good. That's why I'm still single. So anyhow, of that,
shout out there.
We tried to get different ideas. Myself personally, and not without talking to the rest of the group, but I tried to get him to take a little bit more realization on what the routing was and what the capabilities were, where our restrictions were, and the support level, and all that as a whole. So the original plotting and planning is to start in Anchorage, continue all the way down through the loop that's on the map, and end up in Lake Iliamna and be trailered back, and then come back to Anchorage. As we were doing this and showing it was capable of being done, and we ran into complications with our fuel, and we had extra fuel pods, and we had different issues with taking on water, and we had different issues with certain machines, and I'll just get off all the complications. But as it started to eat into time, where everyone had limited time, I was one of the few that had in mind and set aside enough time to accomplish it all, and that's why I am the only one that did it from start to finish.
Oh, really?
No one else
the proposed first route
has done it from launch to the end. I'm the only one.
The end's Iliamna.
End is Anchorage. Started in Anchorage and back in Anchorage.
Oh, this is around Kodiak.
On this.
And back.
Right. On this paving
attempt.
the way.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But you still want the future of the race to be up to Iliamna?
But no. I disagree. Personally, I think it's doable to start from Anchorage, circumference Kodiak, maybe stretch it out a little bit, maybe either end in Seward or maybe end it over in Valdez or end it in Whittier, but not go all around Iliamna. But that's my personal thought on all this.
Yeah. The trailering back in also like the fuel on the river seems
the river's a challenge by itself.
Yeah.
So the river's entrance, the rocks, the way the tide is, that all has to be timed just like our inlet does.
Okay.
And that's a problem, especially when you have us four at a challenge where who's going to be first.
Right.
And you got hazards in the way. Mm-hmm. Not a good mix.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that in a short version.
Yeah. So the first attempt was in 2010?
09 is when we did it. May of 09. That's when this was all done.
Okay.
May, June. I think we ended in the middle of June to almost the second to last week of June.
So how long did it take?
4 to 5 weeks.
4 to 5 weeks.
Trying to remember all those dates, yeah. People ran out of time. They had to go back for work and da-da-da-da. I stayed in Larsen Bay. I took the trip back across Wide Bay to go retrieve our skis with a landing craft. What a slow ride. And then on the way back, I worked on the jet skis to get the jet skis up and workable. So when we got to Larsen Bay, the others flew back, and then we continued from Larsen Bay and circumferenced the other side and back on a short story.
And let's look at this little map right here.
Yeah, it's like...
So
Okay,
this is
like
the
I said, that was the
proposed run.
proposed from Seward. That was the proposed run from Seward. That's not what we took. We started in Anchorage, went to Kenai. That was the first jaunt.
Okay.
And Kenai to Homer. Homer. Oh, actually, Kenai to Anchor Point. Because technically,
You can't ride in home.
legality issues said we couldn't go in there.
Couldn't go to Resurrection.
I voted to come in no matter what and got outvoted. That's okay.
Yeah.
However, we did have an issue with one of the skis, and we pulled all the machines out in Anchor Point and then camped out at the boat owner's house fixing the problem. So we modified between the 3 vessels of ours, put windshields on them, hot grips, extra GPS connection for the GPSs, and we took water bladder tanks that are typically designed for you to pull wakeboarders or kiters and transform them into fuel cells, and then put a motor pump to where you can draw from those tanks and put it straight into your fuel tank with water fuel separator involved as well.
Sweet.
So
that sounds awesome.
That was the arrangement on the 3 machines, which is mine, Peter's, and Gina's.
Yeah.
What brand are you guys running?
Polaris. And that was, again, we bought from Riva in Florida, and had a buddy of mine bring them up from Riva because nobody in town would treat us right on the purchase of 3 brand new machines. Technically, we got 4. The other person that bought it just wasn't a part of, didn't want to partake in our wet dog deal.
But just wanted the new machine.
Right, but 4 came up.
Oh, right.
All
Got it. Yeah.
purchased, and I, myself and Peter worked that deal with Riva in Florida.
Nice.
I have connections in Florida as well.
Did they come modified?
No, they
Okay.
came stock.
Stock,
and
you
we
guys
wanted it that
modified
way.
it.
But
Oh,
we bought
okay.
the extra parts,
Okay.
all the extra pieces, everything needed: fuel injection rail, starter, alternator, pickup, jet pump, extra rings, extra impellers,
Whatever you needed.
exhaust seals, anything we thought might go wrong on the run to where we knew we could rip it apart and had the tools to do it too.
So when you guys are doing those initial runs, as we learned from the Iron Dog, they always have some sort of support airplane. Was there a support boat that was like following you guys along?
The support boat got picked up at Homer. It wasn't until we got to Homer where the support boat started to follow us.
Okay.
Okay.
But yes, from Homer on, the support boat followed us, and that's where we kind of lightened up our load. If you'll notice in the shots, when we get to Homer, or I'm sorry, when we get to Kodiak, you'll see that a lot of us have unloaded our fuel cells. We'll be down containers. I dropped my 2 Pelican cases that were on outside. I kept my medical military white box that was on the back, and fishing poles and the other stuff, and we kind of lost our fuel deals. But we had fuel cell problems, but we still used them up for the entire trip and didn't ditch those until after we got back.
What were the fuel cell problems?
The caps of the fuel cells were designed not to take the impact as you're hitting waves.
Oh.
So when they're full of fuel and you're hitting the waves, the water impact was covering the caps as the fuel was bouncing and the waves was pounding, and so salt water were getting into the fuel cells.
Oh, man.
And it was filling my filters where we brought so many for each, we used them up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then here we are in Kodiak trying to find filters.
Yeah.
And we found like 2.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Kodiak, you know? So anyhow.
Yeah, you're lucky you even found
Right.
those,
So
right?
you gotta have
We
them
brought a whole
sent in.
pile of them and figured we were good to go. Well, that wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
that was some of the problems we had.
Yeah. So that was all in 2009?
Yes.
What were you going to ask, Daniel?
I was gonna ask about that run from Anchor Point.
Yeah,
to
we stopped at Anchor Point.
to Kodiak. Like that's one
Anchor Point is where we pulled out because legally and technically that's where we can do it.
Okay.
So we're in Homer actually.
Is that where the tractor
is
pole is right there in that video?
The tractor is Anchor Point.
Okay, and that's where you guys are getting back in the water from your stop?
Correct.
Okay.
Either out or in. I didn't see the photo, but yeah.
It was
here's
going
the
in
fog.
the water.
This is the fog. We couldn't see each other, and we had to ride closer. And the support boat's lights, we couldn't tell where they were.
Boat there, that big aluminum boat?
Yeah, if you go back a shot, but he's still porpoising. So anyhow, yeah. So of that, the upper shots when it was showing aerial, that is from the Coast Guard.
Oh, okay.
That's the Coast Guard chopper.
All right.
That's
did they know you guys were out there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. You told them, or they got wind of it?
No. It was logged what we were going to do. It was brought up. We even had we put I forget what those devices are called, but they're like these round things to where satellite can pick you up and a radar can pick you up. And it's for all vessels have them, but ours are so small,
like a radar
that
device?
they couldn't pick it up. Yeah, there were radar receptors. Okay. So if a radar would pick you up, and so there was a site. And it was monitoring the wet dog and who was where in the wet dog deal. And so they would know where we were all along the line. And it was because we all had one of these stuffed in our boats,
tracking
our machines.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and they're like a round aluminum with like connecting points in it, kind of like a big, I don't know, hollow marble for a better description of sub support pieces, and that's what it does to trigger the satellite. Like a great big X in the middle of a ball, only there's no skin. All aluminum.
What was the deal with that support boat?
All our fuel, extra food, just in case we had some problems. We could always tow a ski.
Extra parts.
We had plenty of towing. Well, once we got rolling, the extra parts got put on the sport boat. But when we first started, everything was in our skis, split up between us. Right. So like I said, when we first started, we kind of had a little different mentality of how we were going to pull it off, because everything had to go with us from Anchorage to Kenai and then Kenai to Homer. Then the support boat was there, so then we transposed a lot of our stuff in the support boat and kind of lightened up our load and went from there.
Did you plan to have the support boat at the beginning, or that was something when you got to Anchor Point?
It wasn't quite 100% sure worked out when we first started because of an agreement and what was already, I think, scheduled for the boat itself. And I think something fell through, so then it was capable because we needed the boat to be with us for the entire thing once it started. So there was something that had to be worked out there.
Right.
So when we pulled out on Anchor Point and we were fixing the fuel cells and some of the other issues we had and getting things kind of reorganized and dealt with before we roll again. So then that decision was to, the sport boat's carrying everything. It will be with us from A to B till the end. And so, yeah.
And that's like an Inilchik or Anchor Point 6-pack commercial fishing? Homer. Okay. Who was it? What boat? Do you remember?
At the time, the boat was called Memory Maker. And that boat got bought by a gentleman that lives in Palmer by the name of Ted Nugent.
Oh.
She no longer owns it. Yeah.
And what kind of boat is it?
It is a 34-foot Seawolf.
Oh, okay.
And it's twin Volvo Penta twin prop that can do, I think, almost keep up with us. I think it could do like 42.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty fast boat, all diesel.
Yeah.
And very roomy, nice platform.
Yeah, it looked nice.
Night interior, had space for a lot of people to keep warm and be indoors and heat on board. And so it was a perfect support boat. It had speed, agility, an excellent boat captain. His name was Bruce, and the owner that pulled it all off too. So it was a very good package. Everything turned out well.
So when you land in these places, you're camping on shore for the night, right? Or are you in the boat?
We were ready to camp on shore, and the camp on shore scene was the backup.
Okay.
But along the way, we had already tried to get it to where we had beds to sleep in and a warm place to thaw our stuff out.
Yeah,
dry out.
Didn't always work out, okay? But that was the evil plan from the get-go. So along the way, we had all our camp gear ready to camp, but I don't think once did we ever fully pull out camp. We always made it to where we were for the night. Or someone put us up that we came in contact with.
That's cool.
So that's kind of how it worked out.
So if you have like this horrible weather after a night there, are you going in the horrible weather? or is there like?
There's no option.
Okay.
Or you stay another day and wait the weather out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Are you rocking the terrible weather and like we're no matter what we're going, or is there that conversation like it doesn't look that nice?
It was group conversation and group voting, but for the most part, we all were pretty dedicated to where we wanted to pull it off. So it was definitely let's push through. Let's make it happen.
What's the worst weather you had?
Coming across from Wide Bay.
Where's Wide Bay?
Across from the other side of the Aleutians, from Larson Bay at the bottom tip of Kodiak.
Like across Chillicothe?
Exactly. Across Chillicothe Straits.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And what was that kind of weather?
It was beautiful when we went across. It was just tantalizing.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Tantalizing.
Foot down, throttle down. Let's rock.
I like that word.
Then when we get to Wide Bay, the wind is blowing sideways and there's waves kicking, and you can't even come close to the shore without beating yourself and the ski up.
How big a wave?
The boat could not keep anchor, and it dropped 2 anchors.
Damn. How big was the swell?
I'm estimating. You couldn't see. It was one. See, can't see.
Yeah.
See, can't see.
Like 10 footers.
Oh, don't try again.
Jeez.
Try 15 to 20.
What?
Oh, wow.
15
Holy
to 20. Because the whole boat disappeared.
Yeah.
You don't get seasick, do you?
And it's 20.
Yeah.
It's 20-something feet tall from the bottom to the
Get
top of
those sea
it.
legs going.
So, yeah. So, no, I didn't get sick, but we would lose each other. We would be the width of this room apart, and you would lose your other ski trying to keep an eye on each other.
Right.
So, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was rough. And then we beached for the night, made a huge campfire, and guess what the boat captain tells us? There's a large shadow of a bear that's directly above you guys that can't seem to come down the cliff to get to you. And we had the biggest bonfire we could even get any of our hands on. And we got this big monster fire going on. And it's just nothing we can do to and the wind not to put that fire out.
Aleutian boar right above you.
And it's right there. It's right there. And the bear couldn't come down to get to us where we were. And
a lot of wet dogs down there.
I think
unlucky bear. I'm sure you guys smelled right.
Somebody looking out for us because a bear would have had a wet dog toothpick in the morning. So, someone would have died. I didn't even know what he was. I would imagine a grizz because it's out there on an open rock and out
big brown bear,
hunting around. And so, we didn't really see it, but that was.
Where was that again?
That's in Wide Bay.
Wide Bay?
Wide Bay. It's across Chillicothe, almost directly from Larson Bay due south about, I don't know, 100 and a half-ish on the mile mark. I'm guessing. Like I said, I got to look at a map. Like I said, it's been a few years ago. I mean, I know it, but I need. That's why I want a map in front of me when I start talking, so I don't say the wrong places.
Yeah, no worries.
Run down like a list of what you would bring on that jet ski.
Oh my God. Okay, hold your breath. All right, sat phone, couple of flashlights, couple of knives, both skinning, camping, cutting, wood cutting. You also need fiberglass tools, so you need backup fiberglass. You need Insta-hole filler. You need aluminum repair. You need extra hose clamps. You need extra hoses of different diameters. You need signaling mirror, pocket laser, your backup sat phone, two-way radios between you and if you get your separated from your other partner or four, extra clothes, extra blankets, lightweight stuff. Everything across the board is lightweight stuff, and everything is little Pelican containers. So you've got 3 or 4 items in this Pelican container. You got your binocs in that Pelican container. You got your sat phone in another Pelican container. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to close your valves. All the rest of it is extra socks, extra neoprene, extra hoodies, extra gloves. And I mean extra because once it's wet, you got no dried out time, and you got to change out, be warm, and move on. And everything can't be electric. So solar recharger for both your sat and your cell phone. Solar recharger for possibly your phone batteries, your flashlight batteries. Of course, your extra gear. You have your extra parts, your immediates, plugs, oil filter, and oil, just in case you submerge it and it does suck in water. Your water fuel separator, a headlamp, if not 2.
Almost
I don't know,
double,
I'm forgetting
almost
some other
double of
stuff.
everything.
What about food-wise or water?
Instant food, that's instant gratification.
Snickers?
That's okay, but you need like trail mix and your nut bars, and you need like your granolas, and you need protein bars. You need real food. Snickers will last, but not as good as your protein bar. Okay. Protein bar you can get 5 hours out of. Snicker you get 1.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that and instant foods.
Freeze dried food like mountain houses and things of that nature.
Somewhat, yes, but most of the time I went with the military food myself because
MREs.
I didn't need the moisture, and I knew we'd be in a water problematic area. To boil your salt water, you need a lot longer, and then fresh water wasn't always going to be a possibility. Spare water was the other thing, and instead of one big container, you had a whole bunch of little ones stashed away because it's space is a big problem, and then you have to put those in something so they don't get beat to death. So they've leaked all over your hull and got pumped out the pump, and then you go to get a nice fresh bottle of water and you break the cap on an empty bottle. That is just so disappointing. So
sad.
Yep. So I'd put them in tube containers, like launch tubes for rockets for your fireworks, and those would protect them as they were bouncing around in the back engine compartment.
Oh, they wouldn't.
Because they could be warm,
nicked.
but they wouldn't get beat up. So yeah, that's what I used to keep 2 bottles per, and then have them capped off with duct tape and then zip tied into places so they wouldn't bounce around.
So everything just gets beat to hell.
Absolutely.
You're just
thrashed and
I mean,
stomped.
just
bouncing
smashed.
the whole
Beat
time.
to
I was
living
even
daylights.
watching the video when you guys are just clipping along, especially your buddy was porpoising pretty bad there. I was just like watching his like torso compress like every time. How
Look at those photos. Look at how I'm
How's
riding
your
up on
back?
my legs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about like your physical.
I raise my
side.
butt a little bit, and I ride like motocross style.
Oh,
So
to
the
absorb
butt
that.
So your-
bounces
so
off
your
the
legs-
cushion.
your legs are
but
kinda
I'm-
absorbing.
I'm taking the blows and lifting myself up and pulling with my arms, just like motocross.
Yeah.
Yep. Pull
Right.
with your arms a little bit, lift with your legs a little bit, and then it'll bounce you a little bit on the cushions. And so it helps take that absorption. You noticed the other individual was not. He had total butt in the seat deep.
Oh, he was just
and he was
taking
taking
it.
the blows. That's
Yeah.
why he was wore out every time we stopped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he just sat there.
Yep.
You got to mix it up, right?
You got to.
Sit and rest, stand up, take it.
Knee on the seat just like you would in a snow machine. Stand totally up and totally take the jumps with your
Kind of
legs.
absorb it in different ways versus just
Absolutely.
like constantly on their spine
Can't be the
or
same
torso
all the time.
or whatever.
Take your legs farther back. Do like what's kind of minimum Superman, kind of a medium Superman stance.
Yeah.
Then let your ankles take a little bit, and your wrists and arms take a little bit. And then you change up again and get your
Start to
feet
figure it
forward.
out.
Push your foot to the front. Lift yourself up, and you can kind of ride a little differently. You got to change it up because if not, you just get thumped too hard.
Yeah, tears you apart.
It does.
We can't help but relate a lot of this crazy hobby to the snow machine racing. So so forgive me if I'm asking another like the Iron Dog, you know?
No.
The Iron Dog guys that came in, they mentioned part of their training regimen was pre-races and short races, hair scrambles, I think was what they called it, which I never did actually figure out what the definition of a hair scramble was. But did you guys do some preemptive training or some set courses and things that you did to kind of prepare yourself
Oh, a little
for
practice,
this?
little.
I did.
like just
I did.
some warm-ups or
Yeah.
some preseason type stuff.
Peter and I did. We took
Thank
some
you.
runs
Thank you, Jack.
and made a little bit longer runs and tried to do a little bit to try and get ourselves ready for it. I did several hours on a rowing machine. I have my own.
Okay.
I also did. I have a Gazelle. And
So you
then
train.
I do a little bit of treadmill.
yeah.
I just want to get myself to where I'm not shocked knowing it's every day going to be on the ski. So then we'd make a couple runs out in the inlet, and what we would do, we would jump waves. And so
Okay.
we go out when the tide's coming in, and the waves are just nasty and gnarly,
pushing,
and we're
pushing,
out there
pushing.
thumping and beating and banging and going through waves and giving it that all. At the same time, I'm testing my gear that I've
Yep,
brought.
that was my next
and
question.
I threw it in
Yeah.
there, and just to make sure I'd learned some little what's I cans and can't do's. Like
what holds up, what doesn't?
Thin PVC didn't hold up. That's why I moved on to the rocket launchers because I couldn't find thicker PVC pipe to fit the bottles. So anyhow, so the other thing was
trial and error. You just were trying different things.
Certain things I'd put in pelican containers. If you don't take up all the absorption in them, if you don't make everything super tight, it'll beat things up, like the bulbs on your flashlight, or those heat packets will get punched, and then they're already heated and done by the time you need one of the heat packets.
So are you doing like folding, like, say, dish rags or something in there to kind of compress and kind of hold stuff?
I used things that I knew I would need, like toilet paper, tissue, wipes. That's what I was using, stuff that I could use.
And the pelican cases seem to be the best product to hold up to the pounding and the abuse.
Plus the compartmentizing of it all. So think about the ski. Yeah. I couldn't get the big monster pelican cases. I have so many pelican cases, it's sick. But I think I have every model.
I bet.
I have every model
every size.
From the suitcase that rolls onto the airplane with the wheels and the retractable handle, I forget the number to it, all the way down to the 1520, which is about the smallest model I think they sell. So and just trying to make it work out. I found out what pair my West Marine binocs fit in to the snuggest and got that model. I think it's the 1600s, whatever they are. But so I just found what works, and I just start stacking the pelican cases, and I take what I need to put in the pelican case. I'd size it up, put it in that pelican case.
So you do the full geek out. You like just spread it on the table and start messing around.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a lot of geeking
hours
out.
and
Sat
hours
phone
of it.
has to fit in the case by itself, tight, extra batteries, charger, the whole 9 yards.
Color
same
coded
drill.
so you know which one it is.
No, can't do that because I
No?
run out of colors, because there's orange, yellow, blue, black, white.
okay.
So you're done. Oh, gray. So that's it. You're done with colors. So I had to write on it what they are. Binocs, sat phone, da-da-da-da-da. So first aid kit, sockets. I get off my bandwagon. But everything's
great.
labeled.
Another, I was wondering about, just looking at this image here, and forgive me if you guys asked, I might have been dealing with our technical difficulties and missed this part. Fuel capacity. So you guys made the run Anchorage, Kenai, Anchor Point. Now you have support boat. Did the fuel capacity and carrying process change once you got the support boat? Were you able to unload the fuel, give it to him? Okay. Okay, so fuel capacity was needed for runtime in between top-offs. Like, what were your ranges?
We had to fuel out in the open water, and that got to be challenging. Okay, there were times where we got it planned, and so we were able to fuel when we were either docked or in calm waters.
Or at a camp or something like that.
Fueling in rough water ended up being this drill. A 5-gallon can was thrown to you because you couldn't get close to the boat. You yourself had to take that 5-gallon can, and I used the jiggle hose instead of the pouring method.
With the siphon.
Yeah.
Jiggle hose.
Yeah, jiggle hose.
Hold it up on top of the handlebars, put it in your lap,
Yeah.
Put the nozzle down in there, jiggle hose it, sit there and watch the fish while it does the watering, or fueling, I mean. So once we figured that out, it was great. Before that, it was put the nozzle on it, tip it up, hold it on the outer edge, get it fueled. So yeah, so it was a
not
learning.
To dump fuel everywhere.
Right.
Yep.
And so that was the bad method. Now, once we ran out of the 5-gallon cans, we went to the 55 and 30-gallon fuel cells that are on the boat. That got to be more of a challenge because we had to have calm waters to pull up next to the boat to fuel the skis. And we couldn't do it. The skis fuel on our set of skis, I want to say it's our left side. So you had to come up with that side towards the boat to be able to one person hold the ski because it would constantly be shifting and bouncing and the waves going on, and then put the nozzle in, let it fill, watch how full it gets, leave your tether on so you can watch the gauge, get up close, try not to spill, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, imagine you had to, I'm trying to like envision the process, like empty the fuel from a big fuel cell on the boat, probably into a fiver at times, and then hand that to you because now it's too rough to get up to the big boat.
When we unloaded, we had fivers. That's what got handed to us at first to fill the skis. After that, we're on what's already on the boat, which are 55s and 30s. Those weren't transferred because it was too rough for water to transfer them to 5s and hand it to us, plus time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
So we just brought the skis up next to the boat and transferred it via hose over to, no tying up. You couldn't tie them up.
Just
you had to hang on One had to hang on, and one had to do the hose. 2 or 3 had to help with the hosing, the fueling hose, and hold on to the ski and put it in the intake cap of the ski.
Sounds stressful. A little bit.
Something to do.
Just part of the process,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Showing it can be done.
Yeah.
Oh, we did have a video crew totally on board the whole time. So I got to bring up a little funny. So we're hitting nasty waters, okay? I am one-handed outside the boat, so close to the boat, we can see each other like what you and I are seeing, which is in the ballpark of 3 feet, maybe 4.
Tight.
Okay? And I'm yelling at him because his butt wasn't outside filming us in this nasty, nappy waters that we need on record. As he's in there with a bucket getting sick.
Oh, okay. Well,
you didn't bring a
so I kept
seaworthy
coming
camera
up.
guy.
I kept coming up and going, "Where's the camera guy? We're losing all this awesome footage. Where's the camera guy?" So that's what
just
Bruce would tell you.
over
Is
there.
that Ron kept coming by. Where's the camera guy?
Yep. Well,
No camera guy here. Give me the camera.
well, now with GoPros and all that, you might. That's
Well, we brought a couple GoPros, but they didn't last long. You know,
No,
the
those
batteries
batteries
don't
are
last
shot.
long.
God,
So,
man, you'd have to bring 1,000 batteries
exactly,
and chargers.
exactly.
well.
Sick
What
camera
about as you're going for 100 miles? What are you listening to?
There was Gina had tunes on hers, and she brought storage stick stored with the tunes. I didn't do the tune thing. I was more into making it in the statics of all of our gear and whatnot. I didn't do that. Hot grips were important to me. Lights was the other thing I didn't even cover. Most jet skis don't even come with lights. I knew it would be. I know it would be running.
Look at the picture there.
That's
You have
right.
some-
I know it'd be running in
couple
nasty
lights.
weather, so we put lights on our 3.
Oh, that's smart.
Yep, Gina, Peter, and I all.
And now
put
with the
on.
lights and light bars,
The
I'm
nav
sure,
lights, yeah. Well, we had headlamps with they went on top of our helmets, and they were I should remember
like the
the name
lead
of those.
dog.
Lead dog
Lead dogs,
ones?
the red ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And that helped out a lot too. And they went to our cigarette plug-in, which was an extra additive too.
Well, and did you prefer to hear the jet ski while you're running
I
so you
wanted to
could
make
hear
sure-
for anything that wasn't right?
That and other people maybe trying to get my attention because
Oh.
wind going by and water and splash and the jet ski sounds are already enough for sound. And so if someone's trying to get my attention, matter of fact, I know I put my keys away, but I always pack a whistle and or the loud Fox 40 whistles. Not the ones with the balls in them.
Yeah.
So if you get water in the one with the ball, you can't blow.
it doesn't.
You can't make a
doesn't do
whistle
shit.
sound.
Right. Yep.
The Fox 40s don't have a ball in it, so that's something else that is awesome to be on the water. So that way you're making that whistle. I can whistle, but I can't whistle nowhere as loud as one of those whistles do. So we're trying to get each other's attention. If it ain't the light, the green laser, or the whistle, we're getting somebody's attention real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How far on average are you away from each other? Just general running, and you got hours on end, topped off of fuel. You're going to make this long run.
That depended on the water.
Okay.
If the water was flat and I could see the support
Spread
boat
way out. Okay.
and we were hammering down and trying to beat each other because we were just playing, 20 plus miles I could see the vessel and I'm out front and we're just running because we want to. Then we stop and fish while we wait on them
Oh, really?
because we were doing 55-ish. The
Oh, okay.
boat was doing maybe 35-ish, and others that were porpoising were doing less.
Oh, so you'd pull away from the
Oh,
group.
yeah. Put the
Yeah.
hammer down. Show them like, this is where it's a race. We're supposed to be acting like it's a race. Let's go.
That's right.
So we'd zip out.
Wet dog
we'd
race,
stop. We'd drop a line, get a little nibble.
Well, let's talk
Try a
about
little
the
fish.
logistics of the race. Is there who's timing it? Are you clocking yourselves? Is there someone that's official that's clocking it? I'm sure. I know that this is progressing, but where was it before, and what's envisioned next?
That is what part of the complications were on everything because it would have to be as a team for one. And the other is that the teams start and they're spread out, so it isn't everybody at once, and it's all about the duration and distance. As I'm understanding what he wanted to do to make this happen is that do it in that aspect where it's an endurance race, and just like they do in the rest of our state's tricks is starting time, 15 minutes later there's another pair, 15 minutes there's another pair, blah, 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 kind of that deal. And then there's checkpoints. So there's the watching crew, which makes sure they're making it from one point to another during that time frame in the midway. So on a 100-mile stretch, there should have been somebody every 25 miles kind of being in watch. I mean, oh, yeah, the pair 2 just went by. Pair 3 just went by, and monitoring all that. That is where the problem lied, because the spread of the distance of both the logistics of the race and where it is and how it is, these would have to be pretty large vessels that were supporting, where they could house and have a crew that could be 24/7.
Yeah.
Because if they started out with, let's just pick a number from the sky, say 15 groups were doing the race.
Yeah.
And they did it so far apart, and they try to do it daily. That right there just tells you just how long and how spread out that would have to be. So are they going to go a day, take a day break, pick up the next day? Or is it a back-to-back-to-back-to-back deal?
Yeah.
Or is it where, we see how fast they made it from A to B, and then how fast the next group made it from B to C, and then C to D, and E to F, and that kind of thing. So that's part of it that didn't kind of get truly worked out that I'm aware of.
I would think that in the future, if this progresses, when it progresses, you'd probably need kind of like the Iron Dog guys, your own support boat. You know what I'm saying? How they have their own plane, you need your own support boat that's just like part of the team, where it's you and the other guy, or 2 guys and then 2 people on the boat.
That was brainstormed as well. Now let's do that math. Let's just say there's 10 teams. Now there's 10 planes, 10 boats between Anchorage and Homer, just to use it as an example.
Yeah.
Sounds expensive.
And very, I don't want to say dangerous, but very congested. Because we got now 10 aircraft rolling in an area where there's certain places they can't fly over. The oil rigs, the flight patterns for to and fro, both Anchorage, Kenai, and Homer. So there's that in the logistics, okay? And then there's boats on the water as well. And the boats are in the same restricted thing where there's certain places they can go. They got to be in the main channel. They can't be over in the shallows. If everybody got to run in the channels aren't marked. So
sounds like some Alaska shit.
Well, yeah, it's the logistics of it all, and try to be where we're fair to everybody too.
Yeah.
So break it all out, and so there's that too, to kind of just put your head around and try to and then look at the size of what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Which is insane.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Let's go ahead, Jack.
So it's all 2009. Like what's?
Yeah, that's what I want to. That's exactly what I was going to ask.
What happens next?
Like, so it's 2009, 2010. Have you guys attempted other routes? And if you have, let's talk about those. And if not, what's the next? What's the timeline look like?
We had a little meeting, somebody's birthday, and when we were all there, we took a picture, and it was the main 5 of us that did the race. And this same question came up as we're bringing it up, and he is supposedly still working on logistics. I have suggested several times to where what we've done so far and what can happen is that we can either do a couple of options, and these are all my suggestions, that will make it happen and not be so complicated, and supports on all directions. That's why I'm bringing it up. Anchorage, Homer, around Kodiak, whichever part of Kodiak you want, back around to either Seward, Whittier, or even end up in Valdez. We can make the 2,000 miles easy.
Got it.
Plus, done. All the ports have enough fishing vessels that would take that support challenge on and be there. Fuel, food, emergency, towing capabilities. Hoist them on board, take care of them if they got hypothermic issues, any of the above. Helicopter can come and pick them up if there's that kind of need.
Coast Guard posts all over the place.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. It's easy, okay? Pick the mileage, pick the place.
Yeah.
Go from Anchorage, go down circumference Kodiak, and come back. Done. I cannot answer why those suggestions are not being taken to heart.
Do they want it to be bigger than that?
I believe that's part of it.
Yeah.
I believe the bigger package, the bigger hype, the bigger draw, but it's doable. I mean, we've done it. That's why I'm saying it. It has happened. It's been done. It's been plotted to the point to where we're showing it can be done. The villages have issues with gas. That's the big number one problem with the Aleutians. Diesel up the Green Yang, but gas is a limited issue.
But not if you had your own support boat.
You're right, but think about the
Hauling the
illusions.
fuel.
Think about the illusions, and think about packing a support boat that'll take enough gas.
Yeah, that's a long.
for
Well, that goes
2
from
jet
2,000
skis.
miles to what?
What about going the other way or starting like in the southeast and coming up? You'd have more like port towns that have unleaded
Like
fuel.
start down in Kachemak or something?
Yeah, Kachemak or something.
If you start anywhere else other than Anchorage, you've just lost jet ski enthusiasts.
We'll start in Anchorage and go south then.
Right. I'm saying.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Just like the ferry leaves out of Whittier, Juneau, Ketchikan,
Yeah.
Juneau, Cordova, whatever.
I wonder if it would get more, support if it was just a smaller race at first. There's not a lot of people.
Yeah,
people
I
are
agree.
into big snow machine trips and all this stuff. There's not a lot of big Alaska outdoor
That
jet
loses
skiers.
the Alaska theme. That
But
loses the
I don't-
whole
that
2000.
would actually be like, yeah, well, it loses that, but that would be something I would do. If we were like, hey, we're gonna leave from Anchorage and we're gonna go around to just Whittier,
Right.
Like I would be down to do
Well,
that.
I brought that up
Oh,
too.
like as a support boat or something?
no, or just do it.
No,
Like
I mean,
would
just
go
it
right
being a smaller, let there be like almost a circuit of these smaller. Am I right,
Yeah, and
Jack?
then you build
like
this
a circuit
hype.
of smaller races that lead up to this like big long race,
Right.
and then you might gain more traction and more
brought that up as well.
momentum
Treat
with
it like a poker run.
Yes,
Treat
yes,
it like a poker
yes,
run.
Ron,
I've already brought
yeah.
that up.
Oh my God,
Do
yeah.
a poker run and do a small run first. Make it short. Make it happen. Make
Yeah.
it go.
You do like 3 days down to Whittier.
Make
or
it
whatever,
simple.
And
No, make it go Anchorage to Homer. Done. One poker run just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Then do the next one.
Well, you might get more guys that just may not have the resources, but the skills and the right machine. But
Well,
just
that's why I'm
enough
saying.
parts
That's why I'm
and-
saying break the ice. That's
Yeah,
why I'm saying break
yeah,
the
there
ice.
it is, yeah,
Just get
yeah.
it. Just get something off the ground where we've pulled a race off, even if it's just a Kenai.
Yeah.
yeah, it is interesting
Yeah,
that there's
yeah.
not a poker run type thing already, right? There's these poker runs everywhere. I would want to do one step above a poker run, like a 3-day kind of like something that was like, hey, this is kind of a big deal. It was a little scary. But then the other thing that happens, you get all these people in that were like, hey, I just want to try this. But then there's that one diehard in 20 that like goes on and he inspires some other people and then wants to do these huge races. And then you're also learning all these issues that you guys encountered and how to, deal with them, and improve like how you guys operate. And then a big race is suddenly doable.
where there's sponsors and there's money behind it and all that kind of stuff.
Another
learnings.
suggestion that I've made is just do the Whittier one, Whittier to Valdez,
Yeah.
and
Or
make
Anchorage,
that
Whittier
make
to
that a
Valdez, back
simple
to
run
Whittier to
back.
Anchorage or something. That would be sweet.
Whittier to Anchorage is a hump, so I hear you, but
Oh, that's got to be gnarly,
right,
Actually,
and so
to
that's
come all the way
exactly.
around.
So that's
Woo,
why I'm saying
wow.
the Whittier to Valdez is a 100-miler, and it's been done already several times. And so
Yeah.
back in the day, I mean, it's easy. So that's
Yeah,
why
it'd
I'm
be
bringing it up.
super
as
easy to do
yeah.
that one.
And so that would be a good icebreaker. And that's why I'm saying
You could almost do that in a day.
since
A day
Anchorage,
Oh,
and
yeah. Like
Wasilla,
3 hours.
Yeah.
However, the big jet skis are in Wasilla, not so much Anchorage. There is some Anchorage that's got jet skis, but Wasilla has grown in jet ski popularity, just like you see in Big Lake, Lake Louise, Lake Lucille, Nancy Lake, all those. The jet skis are really taking
Whatever
a big spin.
Lake
Okay,
Daniel's going to be on soon.
so
I'm looking.
so anyhow, of that's why I'm saying that you're right. It's the popularity, but the Anchorage and the Kachemak is kind of a turnoff, and it's gnarly. It's silty. It's always
sense,
it's got the wave issues and the tide issues. So that's why I bring up Whittier, just to bounce around and explain a little
launch
bit.
and go.
Maybe like try something like the Montague Cup used to be. Like you leave from Whittier, you get out to Montague, you got 6 hours to go try to shoot a deer or catch the biggest silver or whatever, and then get your ass back like in a day. Something that like adds a little bit more Alaska flair.
It's a good idea. I'm not nixing that.
I'll
That's
go
not
do
a
that
bad
one
idea.
with you.
So let's just put a reality check on that one then. How about this? Go out, catch your halibut, and come back. It doesn't matter where you go,
I would do that too.
because that was brought up as
But
well.
is it the biggest halibut combined with
No.
time? Like there's
No.
got to be like
it's
some sort
get a
of ratio.
halibut in your ski and get back with it, and then we'll go talk about the weight.
Yeah, I think because you don't have to go very far for a halibut.
Yeah.
It might be
So
sim for
these
a
are
while.
all things that are still up for discussion and brainstorming, and your guys' core group of 4 or 5 guys are probably just bouncing ideas off each other. obviously you guys have proven that you could do something that's 2,000 miles or whatever. Is there what's it going to take to?
A lot of time has elapsed.
Yeah, what's it going to take to make this happen? Because I think that a lot of people would be highly interested in this race. I mean, I'm talking global sponsors.
Totally.
I feel like 11 years has lost its fizzle, in my own opinion. Okay,
I would agree.
So
with
it's
that.
a long time
it's a decade,
to where things have kind of just gone by the wayside. But that's the reason, like we're brainstorming about what we're talking about. I think a nice short run where you can get at least part of Alaska involved, even if we don't drag any outsiders in on it. That's why I'm saying about the 100-miler.
Yeah, and then you could bring in the average kind of guy that might have his own deal at Big Lake or Nancy Lake or any of these lakes. He's like, I'm going to try to come in here and win this.
Valdez has the housing, is why I keep picking on Valdez. I know Valdez enough.
A lot of locals have already been doing it.
Right, and there's that. So the interest from Valdez alone and Big Lake and the places where jet skis are pretty popular. I think a lot of people aren't too savvy on wanting to go on the saltwater, okay? But we've got a tours. There's a guy that took and started up a tour company that's out of Whittier.
Yep.
And he takes tours.
Yes.
And Seward's got another one.
That's right.
So those, I think, would be participants. And I'm just stabbing, but I'm saying that just a short, quick run to break the ice. Once that run turns out to be a success and we get the people that are involved that really want to be a part of it, I think that is where the ball will really start warning and the interest will really start warning. We can stretch it out even longer.
Yeah, Whittier's not.
So I'm on a dream factor.
Far away.
I have a dream, so let me move on.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Whittier to Seward, okay? Then Whittier to Seward, and then to Homer, okay? And so then Anchorage to Homer, around to Seward, and then down to Kodiak. And that's why I'm saying is that, like you were saying earlier, I think breaking the ice is key. Mm-hmm. I think we've had a long time. We've had kind of a little lag, if you will, and I think it's too much, too big, too extravagant, and too stiff on the purse.
But it's a great goal.
It is.
Well, it is awesome.
Now, is there something similar where they're going around Florida? They're going around the Keys. Is there anyone else that's even attempting this in Texas? Or
I know we bounced around, but I've already done personally from Key West, from Fort Lauderdale out to the Bahamas, and that's another 100-mile run, and it's doable.
But they don't have official.
In Florida, I think they're talking about the jet ski finals are talking about moving to Florida, and it's been part of the Jet Ski Journal. They've been talking about that. They're still in Havasu, but they're talking about moving it to Florida. And what they're wanting to do is in certain places in Florida, they're wanting to do it, and it's because of the Bahamas run of 100-mile. They want to do a circuit track race, or what they call a circuit race, which is the buoys and tracked and whatever, and they want to do a long distance one. The California one does the coastal, and I think that one's like a 15 or 20 mile coastal run. So they're on the shoreline running, but I think that's what is in the making already and in the works. But they know that skis, that's on the jagged edge. If you were full throttling it that whole way and trying to really bust a speed or a time gap, you're probably going to run your 100-mile gap down to nothing. So I think that's what might be holding it back, is that you don't want to put people out there and get them. That's a stretch. You just think about that. Bahamas to the Florida, U.S. there, that whole stretch, they'd have to have safety vessels along the way.
Well, of course,
support and all that. So I think that's the biggest problem. I think that's where it's at. I think that's trying to get that support, trying to get that backing, trying to get to where we can get that off the ground.
The costs of doing anything are just expensive.
And where does that come from is the key. Who's going to foot that?
Ron Paye.
Hell no. Not my tiny wee little wallet. No, sir.
Well, Kawasaki.
Did I tell you how short my toy list was?
Pelican case. There's all these big corporate companies that I feel like if it were, incubated and nourished and brought to this build up, you could get corporate sponsorship involved.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think Jack was right on the key, where you start off with these little races that eventually turn into bigger races.
It's going to take guys coming out of pocket at first. Yes,
absolutely.
Always on anything amazing. But you guys have already kind of laid the groundwork. And there are a lot of extreme expedition offshore jet ski people and groups. I mean, I think we talk about Dangerous Waters. Those guys are ridiculous. They go around the planet on jet skis. And
you guys are touching a nerve. You know, I ran into these guys, right? I talked to them and I offered help, and I even helped them.
No shit.
Oh yeah.
What, coming through Alaska?
What is it?
Yes, sir.
Dangerous Waters, man.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
What is that?
I know like the tip of the iceberg on these guys, but they have done the most extreme.
Met them in the
shit
Nilchik
ever.
as they were coming down through and headed to Homer, and then offered my phone number and services to them. They called me on a Friday. I had to borrow a truck at the time, a Toyota pickup truck from a guy named I called Ratchet Jaw, and he loaned me his Toyota. I went to CC Skidoo and Eagle River, picked up a 8-place jet ski trailer to put one jet ski on the center of the trailer axles, and hauled it to Homer and launched it in Homer at midnight. And I got off work at 4:30.
You're a good man.
You're just
And that's for the Dangerous Water Boys.
That's cool.
Can't make it up. I'm on one of their episodes.
Dangerous Waters? Is
Yep,
that on
Dangerous Waters.
Team Waters?
They're on. I think it's the Discovery Channel. I think is where they are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
heard of it.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
check it out. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Is there, I would assume, do they have like, teams of people?
I was
like
ready
Dangerous
to.
Water,
I was
like
ready
South
to.
Africa,
I was ready to quit
Florida.
my job and be a part of that group so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to bite. That's why I volunteered myself. Whatever they needed, I'm there for them.
You mean the Anchorage School District is not enough?
Shh, quiet. My employer. Stop it.
No, these guys are crazy. I remember just stumbling across it on cable TV years ago.
Yep.
And these guys were in like Russia or
They
something.
got held up in Russia.
Yeah,
because they
like
didn't
they
get
got-
permission from the military.
Right.
yeah,
but
that's
they
right.
supposedly
Yeah,
talked
right
to
here.
somebody.
See, they like pulled them off the water. And
Yeah.
you boys.
and they ran the same machines we did.
Oh, okay.
Copycats.
So dangerous. 5 dudes embark upon. There may be a female actually.
Dan.
The original,
epic
yeah. I can't
remember the guy's
adventure
name that
riding
was
their
the-
personal watercraft
Yeah,
from
him.
Seattle up through Alaska and across the Bering Strait.
Steve Mole. I got his phone number.
And they think their trip got kiboshed when they came up around the Arctic Circle and they got hung up in the ice, right?
Yeah, they trailered, I think, for a certain point and then picked up again. So, yeah, I had
Yeah, and
lost
then-
track.
So they got stuck, and then they picked up their trip in Europe somewhere,
Right.
where they shipped everything over, and then there was this huge fucking delay on getting their jet skis over,
And
then
approval.
getting
And
approval. That's what it
approval.
was.
Yep.
They waited like days and days and
Permission.
days, and then
Yep.
the weather came in, and they sat there just staring at the waves, smashing, and they finally got released. And
Absolutely.
continued their
Met
run.
these guys
but-
in Anchorage in their rig, and it had a mural on the side of their RV, and it was Dangerous Waters. And a couple
Yeah,
cool guys. They're
yeah.
a couple cool guys.
But
I really
again,
enjoyed
they
it.
didn't just like, do that out of their own pocket. The
Oh, they
sponsors,
got sponsors
that's what I'm
galore,
saying.
man.
Yeah.
Sea-Doo was a big sponsor
Yeah,
for
man.
those guys.
Yeah.
I forget the rest of them, but
Well, and
yeah.
my point of bringing them up was that to me is probably what it's going to take to get the financial backing on. Like, let's just say you get half a dozen teams to do this thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking like $1 million worth of money is going to have to.
Absolutely.
That's just a total ballpark amount to like fund everybody, and then a charter guide out of Homer.
Right,
Okay, he charges
right.
X amount of dollars a day to take a charter out. He's going to go out for a week or two on this run and run fuel in his boat and on maintenance and all the shit.
Don't
Like,
forget the crew.
well, I'm just saying, a lot of money has got to basically come out of,
It's an expensive
Pocket.
trip.
Someone's
heaven
pocket.
to make this happen. I feel like or to Jack's point, like those little runs, build momentum, getting
Absolutely.
people involved, getting them excited, making them feel like there's content to sell to make it worth sponsoring the race. Unfortunately, that's
Like
the world
Jack
we
said,
live in.
we got to
man.
break the ice. We got to get it rolling.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just like I
Yeah.
told John back in the day, we got to do something to get the ball rolling, get it broken, get it going.
Yeah.
So
you
Ron-
need really passionate people that like do
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
guys did in
yeah.
2009, but you need a lot of them in their own groups.
I disagree.
So you guys
I
got
think a small
5
number doing it at first will break the ice enough to where it tantalizes the second run to grab a larger
I
crowd.
love that word, man.
What I'm getting at is that like you guys had your first kind of run at this, the trial. What did you call the trial?
It's called Paving the Way.
Yeah, the
but I
Paving
believe it's so aged now that I think something else needs to happen to break the ice again.
Is, later.
To re-stir and reignite everyone's interest and or
enthusiasm.
drive.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you guys had 5 of those guys, right? All you need is one of those guys and 5 other new groups
to do it.
For sure.
Right.
But you need these other experiences to get to find those people, because they don't know they want to do this yet.
Wait a minute. Get your skis. Let's go.
It's not my thing. I'll do the 3-day one.
Bring your video.
It's not my thing either, but I would love to come cover it and be part of it. Or if I had the time to get on a support boat and just be part of it.
I can pull 3 wild gals together with me, my 2 others that I can probably pull from my pocket, and we can do this that like right now have and can do.
Like have the equipment, gear, and everything.
Do it like
I wanted to ask real quick before I lose my thought on that. What are you and or any of your original crew OGs doing to date since 2009 to stay fresh, to keep your equipment right, are you still going out and riding? Are you still doing runs and expeditions and
picking up the 80 miler now? Yeah, 55 is old school. GP 1800 Yamaha.
Okay, so now you've upgraded your
80 mile an hour on the water, and be careful on your turns.
And bring extra gas.
No, actually, the efficiency is actually picked up.
Because you went from a 2-stroke to a 4-stroke?
All 4 strokes.
Okay.
Those are 4 strokes back in the day.
But the original
they
kind
were
of
first
like
4 strokes, but they were still 4 strokes. Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
That was something we had to do to make sure we weren't infusing, because we were near whale birthing areas in Kodiak. Also down in Homer, we were near the bird sanctuary, because no 2 strokes, no 2 strokes could roll. Had to have 4.
Do you think 10 years later now that there might be some more pushback from certain agencies, environmental type groups that might try to impede your ability to put this together?
There's been
so much. It was then?
There's been so much pushback to that. I can't argue with you. That's a very valid thought, because we are about saving the environment and knowing how we as humans are supposed to be doing a lot of this deterioration that's going on. Yeah, I could see that. However, the 4-stroke jet ski does less impact than any single fishing vessel does on the planet.
I would agree.
I don't care about Alaska by itself, but any fishing vessel or tug or ferry or anything else that deals with anything else in the water, the jet ski by the piles can't come close to a single commercial vessel.
It's not polluting the water nearly as much.
So
it's not.
They can spout all they want. And it used to be the noise, okay? Noise used to be the big deal. Now, they have no holding ground on that, because the noise decibel level has dropped with the 4-stroke down to a level where we're less than an airplane, even at landing. And I'm not talking about takeoff. So there is that, and I'm not badgering. I'm just saying that of that, I don't think there's any real backing to where they could shut it down because of that. Now, because I know Homer well enough, and I know Kodiak well enough, there are some protected waters. Homer, for instance, is one of the largest bird sanctuaries on the planet. Okay? We have birds coming from around the world. So that is an area where you don't need to go up past the spit, and you don't need to go over into where their bird nesting areas are, or around a couple of their islands where they have it, But
up in Resurrection, you're talking?
All the way up in, or even at certain areas that's, to the north and south as you come up to the spit. But when you're in the main channel, and you stay in the main channel, and you're along with the rest of the boats,
you're not close enough to shore to mess with anything.
That's where we get to be where the bad jet skiers are just like bad motorcyclists. They put a bad name out, and they give a bad aura and a bad taste in their mouth for folks that say, we don't want some zippy jet ski around here stirring our sanctuary. So that's kind of where I'm bringing that all up as a whole, and thinking both ends, not just trying to be single-minded. But
yeah, because it affects everybody.
Sure.
That's a good point. Good point. Let's end it with Jack's trivia.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was wondering,
Jack said he has a trivia.
Jack's been out a while.
And the trivia's been getting bigger and bigger. Listen, ever since Scotty named it Creeps Trivia, it's blowing up
for sure.
It's getting there. Trivia time.
Dum.
With Jack Lau.
Real creepy. All right. So the world record for the fastest speed reached on a personal watercraft, a jet ski. Are you playing that one too?
Sorry. Sorry. Go ahead.
Is it incredible what miles per hour? This was done by Uva Perez, and he was riding a turbocharged Yamaha FZR Wave Runner.
96.
You can't go over. So you're going 96. Ron's going 96.
So specific.
Can you restate the question?
How fast can a jet ski go? The world record.
The world record? Yeah.
I'm going to say 86.
I'll give you a guess. I think I might be a little moderate. You might want to go a little over my number.
Yeah, I was going to say 109 miles an hour.
I don't know if we're over that good, but we'll see.
109 miles an hour.
You're damn close. It was 127.
Didn't go over.
Now tell us exactly what he had again and what it was charged.
Yamaha FCR Wave Runner turbocharged.
Yamaha, did it say what size CC engine
No,
it starts out with? So it's turboed?
No.
Okay, so I ran a supercharged Kawasaki, and that's what I burned up heading out to Cochrane Bay and back. And so that'll do 86 on ocean water. And I know the GPZ 1800 stock out of the box without any mods will do about 94-ish.
Now, I thought there was a specific mile per hour restriction on a stock out of the box jet ski, and I was
Not anymore.
I thought it was 70 miles per hour.
It
correct?
used to be.
Like it would just
Not
get
anymore.
to 70, and it was like, and that was all it would do.
Pre-fuel injection.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why carburetor would only work so well in water.
Yeah,
That's why it was
all right.
76 was tops for a while.
Now,
And there's never been a restriction. It's just about the functionality.
that's just all you could get out of them.
Yep.
All right.
Now it's
Next
wild
Okay, we
west.
got another
Okay.
question. Here
All
we
right,
go.
we got number 2. So what's the longest ever journey on a jet ski? So this would be, like your guys' the race.
the Dangerous
it's not a
Waters
race.
boys.
It's just a consecutive journey. So
By an individual, I
Like
take
an
it.
yeah,
expedition.
there was a group. There was 2 dudes. They went a long ways.
The longest journey.
I'm curious, and I am inquisitive. I'm thinking I don't know this answer, but I tell you what, I do know a gentleman that lives in the state, and him and his wife are circumferencing the globe.
Oh, well, that's
with his
pretty
jet
long.
ski. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm curious about what you know. That is interesting. I don't know that.
I'm going to say 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
I'm sorry. I disagree with that because there's a whole lot of water. The planet is worth a whole lot more.
Well, let's
on
hear the
that.
guess then.
I've got,
Let's hear what you got.
I've got 10,000 miles,
All right. 10.
and that's way short, probably.
I'll jump to 20,000 miles.
Yeah.
All right. So it's like a consecutive journey,
Okay.
right? So they're
Right.
not like camping for a long time. And it was 10,729 miles. 2
Oh,
South
shit.
African dudes made it over to the United States and then went through the Panama Canal and then the whole west coast
Awesome.
of North America.
Yeah, knowing how much water's on the globe is why I jumped up to such a high number. And yeah.
What blows me away is when you get into that like huge open water and like you got nowhere to go.
You know what's surprising is if you didn't have a good working compass, you could almost get misdirected and do circles. And only
I
because
believe
I've been
that.
out in Alaska to where the waters, you're looking around and you have no land mass in
Oh,
any
we didn't
direction.
even ask about that.
You
Yeah.
have no land mass in any direction. And if you didn't have your GPS and your compass to make sure your GPS was legit,
Right.
to know which direction you need to go. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, like back to the old days. I mean, if you can't see land, because the majority of your runs that you're doing up here, you're going to see land.
Between Homer and Aleutian, not the Aleutians, what's those islands?
Barrens.
The Barren Islands.
Between
I
Kodiak
could
and Homer.
not see the Barren Islands when we left Homer after we lost
Yeah, no way.
landmass to our rear.
Oh, it all of a sudden was no man's land.
And that's right. And we could not see those until we finally seen little bumps on the horizon.
How long did it take before you saw a little whoop in the horizon?
Too long ago. I won't lie to you. I don't
Okay.
know. It was
Couple
it was,
hours,
it was
though?
a hump. It was a hump, and it was full throttle action, and just kind of wanted to get there before it became hazily dark. It's May, so it ain't like well, yeah. Well, it was a beautiful May. In 09, it was unlike our recent May. Okay, it was freaking gorgeous. We had nice weather. Okay. But what made it nice was the winds were down, the clouds weren't there. We had twilight.
So in general, you had good weather for that run.
Yes, till we crossed Shelikoff Straits. That's when the wind picked up and we got nasty weather.
The tides were just ripping through there.
Oh my God, horrible. Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah.
Because it's just really an alley where the water's just pushing.
The way the wind pushes and the way the water is and the shallowness of the water that's there is why.
It makes it really ripply.
Is
and
why.
Just,
makes the waves just
like washboard, like
thrash the shoreline.
Tight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's old piers that are still standing. The posts are standing. The piers are demolished and gone. There used to be a place there.
Just got pounded.
Done. Yeah, including the buildings. They're all thumped down to nothing, too. Just skeletals of residue buildings. Wow. Yep. Yeah, I like that information. That's
all right.
good.
We got one more.
Oh, we got one more.
Bring it on.
Don't forget the music. Don't forget the music.
Bring it on. Let's get the music going. Hold on a second.
Thanks, Ron.
All right.
Getting real creepy, guys. Real creepy. So, this dude, for his son, wanted to do a race for charity and break a record. He wanted to break the longest open ocean journey done by a jet ski unsupported. He was a Finlander. How far did he make it?
Unsupported.
Do we know what machine?
It doesn't say.
Unsupported?
Yeah, and
I'd go for 90 miles.
See, that's like what I would have thought. So you're gonna get mad at me.
90 miles.
I like new
unsupported.
Unsupported, like
all by himself. Himself, and I.
Self-contained
doing
fuel.
It says unsupported. There's a whole story I read earlier, but it doesn't talk.
I don't know if he's packing
specifics.
extra fuel or nothing. I just took a tank range and figured.
He definitely did something.
All right, I'm gonna go 200 miles.
Okay, yeah, because you unsupported. I mean, the range of a jet ski and fuel.
We don't know any of that, right? We don't know if he's
got
extra fuel.
I don't have any.
Extra
it's
fuel.
just unsupported. He's going to
Is
break
it an amazing
the Guinness
answer?
book. He's
Is it
going
an
to,
amazing answer?
Yeah, he's going to break the Guinness Book of World Records for longest unsupported.
Oh, wait a minute, then I got to change my answer. Guinness Book of World Records.
You go ahead, change
For a
it.
charity.
No,
Change it.
I'm thinking here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, your
Guinness
guess was
book.
good for because you know and you've done
I
it.
thought stock, and I just thought tank kind of
It
deal.
says unsupported,
But
and
unsupported.
longest
It's
open
kinda
ocean
Open,
journey. So he
okay.
doesn't go to
And
shore.
He's a Finlander, so he's got a lot of water space.
750 miles.
Ooh, that's a big number.
750.
I mean, there's no. I mean,
We got 750.
Come on, man.
Okay, we got
I'm gonna say 400.
All right.
400.
All right.
I'm gonna stick with my guess.
200.
Yeah.
So 1910.
What
He
the
made it
hell?
from his hometown in Finland to Spain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
But there's none of
Where-
the cool details we want.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, you're gonna get mad at me. So I'll do
it's
some
all
more
good.
research
It's all
and
good.
send you a text.
That means
but-
he got fuel along the way. There's just no way.
He
there.
had to do
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
But it
I was
says
thinking
unsupported.
I was thinking how much fuel it could carry is
Right.
why I thought that.
Well, that's why I
because
thought that too.
I know calculating my route, what I could do with the fuel I packed on board. I'm just under 450, and not knowing the machine, not knowing the water, and that's why I kind of stopped.
Yeah, the unsupported things.
So
because
I had
know.
asked that question, but we kind of rabbit holed off to something else. So the range when you're like, I'm leaving the port of Seward, and I've got all my fuel, and I'm going from this to here.
Depends
before I
on
need
how
to-
much all my fuel is. If I've got 4 or 5 gallon tanks, do I have 2 15-gallon bladders? What do I have for fuel is why I bring that up. Because it depends on your fuel to what your range is. The stock tank is 15 gallons.
Can get you how far?
How many miles per gallon?
Depends on the engine.
Like
depends
roughly.
on the weather.
Yeah, give me an average.
Depends on how
Total
you're throttling
average.
it.
Just total average.
There is no average because how much weight are you packing? You're packing survival. You're heavy. You're in the water deep.
What if you're just
So,
on a lake?
if-
Just you.
You can all day long thump it. Yeah, that's 100 miles to 15 tanks.
Okay.
15 gallons, I'm sorry. Well, if you got a light package, you're leaving Whittier, and you know you're going to make it to Valdez, and you got your little bit of change of clothes, and a little bit of emergency
survival gear,
like the race we're going to do this summer.
100 miles.
Yeah. You're going to get it permitted tomorrow. You're going to lend me a sled, and we'll go do it.
There's no lending. It's like owning a bike. You got to get your own.
Yeah, I got to find a lender.
You got to get your own. I don't have a spare.
Better borrow one from the lake kids at Nancy.
I don't have a spare, but I tell you what, you can start a fundraiser.
Yeah, we could.
I don't need charity.
I'll get you a smoking deal.
I don't need charity.
No.
I'll borrow a little kid's.
I know a
Nancy Lake one.
I knew a certain company in town, and if I harass them enough, knowing I'll go to Florida to get it delivered, they'll give us a smoking deal. We'll give you a couple skis.
But before we wrap up, I have to ask. So, what's on the horizon for Ron? It's wintertime, so the jet ski's in the shop, in the garage right now.
Being rebuilt, the one I blew up.
Oh, I bet you are. I bet you're getting it all modified and tricked out. What are you doing when the ice breaks? What is your first run? What are you looking to do? Do you jump in the lake?
The AR230 gets dropped in Whittier as soon as the weather gets above 40.
Okay. So
and I'm out fishing.
And you're out dropping shrimp pots.
The jet skis will not start at 15 above zero, just so you know, because I've tried. It has to be 20-ish or warmer, or they won't fire.
Like the starters just simply won't turn the engines?
Oh, no. They'll crank over.
Oh.
They won't fire.
You can't get spark. You can't get fuel. You
not
can't
at
get it to
15
mix.
degrees above zero with moisture in the air.
Is that
won't do it.
pre or post EFI?
That is EFI.
Oh, you guys are getting technical, man. You guys
Electronic fuel injection.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking carbureted, you could probably fire it up colder.
That's why I watch the temperature. If it's 40 degrees or warmer, I'll drop a boat in the water in a minute.
Oh, okay.
As long as there ain't too much ice.
There you go.
That's why I love my AR230. Because it'll roll.
That sucker will fire right up.
That's right.
That's cool.
Nice.
Put your warm clothes on, let's rock.
So what do you got like a full armada of fucking jet skis? I mean, you got the boat, you got the...
Hold on. Are we done? Because you mentioned toys earlier.
Yeah.
You asked toys earlier.
I have to know, like, how many jet skis do you have?
2 jet skis, 2 motorcycles, 2 boats, 2 trucks, 2
deep.
convertible hot rods.
Listening, Jeff Lund?
And I'm trying to unload some of my gear because I got a little bit too much and I can't afford to fix it all.
Okay, yeah.
That's honesty.
I mean,
that's honesty in its both, okay?
So it's 2 jet skis, a jet ski boat, right? The Yamaha's like a jet ski boat.
That's right. The other boat is not.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Those aren't cheap.
No,
So,
sir.
I mean, I don't have so many of them.
I only make so much.
you and me both, brother.
I hear you now. I don't have that rich tree.
Boats,
I would pluck a couple
are the
hundred.
most
I'm good.
expensive damn things you can buy, too.
Is there a printing press in here? I thought I seen one I wanted to buy. I thought I smelled ink.
Not yet.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. The toner's out.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey. I'll come back tomorrow with some toner.
There you go.
No.
Visit AlaskaWildProject.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please leave us an Apple Podcast review. Be on the lookout for the meet party February 19th. Tickets coming on. We will be having our merch at Barney's Sports Chalet coming soon. We're expecting that probably right when this podcast hits. We're trying to get that. Please become a Patreon. You can go to the website. That's probably the easiest place. Scroll down to the Patreon link. $5 a month. We are coming out with new stuff for the Patreon thing. We appreciate everyone's support, and stay wild, Alaska. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
You remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Looking to buy or sell a home? Look no further than Alaska's #1 real estate team at alaskashometeam.com. Decades of local experience, knowledge, and expertise in a competitive real estate market. Alaska's Home Team makes buying or selling your home a breeze. Give them a call today at 907-277-3777.
Lady with a Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings, retreats, birthdays, bridal, and baby showers. Find Lady with the Plan on Instagram.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th, handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation. Find their products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts and more at the Treehouse AK and other dispensaries around the state. Ask your local bud tender about AKO.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com.
I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.